Chapter 467 Laugh. Only you will be laughing. TSTSTSTSTSTTS. The world begins to blur. Kim Yun bites her lip as she sees Baek Ran in front of her becoming hazy. As the whole world distorts, she realizes that her own body is also becoming blurry. The world blurs because she is being expelled from it. However, the reason she herself appears blurry is because her eyes are filling with tears. Hyunghwa, do you know? She speaks to Book Hyunghwa, standing before Baek Ran's dead body. I don't want to lose anyone. I don't want anyone to leave my side. The person known as Vast Cold said that this heart of mine is also love. But she holds on to Baek Ran's increasingly blurry corpse as she continues. You told me, didn't you? To just bury you in this world, and that I should fly away. As the laws of the world return, her strength gradually returns, and the image of a bird is engraved on Kim Yun's face. But what should I do? I don't think I can leave you here and fly away. I came all the way to save you, but what should I do with you? Sarek. Just then, a soft hand brushes Kim Yun's cheek. It is the soul of Book Hyunghwa, bathed within the pure white light. Her soul, reincarnated in this world using Baek Ran's body, appears as she did in her youth, during the most beautiful time of her life. Do you know? As if she had regained all the memories of her past life. Book Hyunghwa's soul looks warmly at Kim Yun and speaks. They say a person is made up of three things: the chi of the flesh, the soul of the spirit, and the fate bestowed by the heavens. Her eyes meet Kim Yun's. Before I became salt, I prayed to the heavens. Even if I died, I wished for something of me, even the smallest thing, to remain with you. I even earnestly prayed to the bird that formed my extraordinary pattern law talent, that my heart would be passed on to the one who remembers me. And the bird on Kim Yun's cheek. That bird touches Book Hyunghwa's hand. It seems my heart was not in vain. Kim Yun recalls Book Hyunghwa's words. The extraordinary pattern law talent is, in truth, a single fate manifesting as talent in multiple people. If so, the essence of the talent she holds and the talent that the Mad Lord holds, their fate, is the same. Kim Yun caresses her own cheek. Why did the Mad Lord's extraordinary pattern law talent transfer to her? Previously, she simply thought it was because the Mad Lord was her master. But now, she finally understands. Book Hyunghwa's heart, so earnest and desperate, had momentarily touched the heavens and was passed on to Kim Yun. It may be difficult for you to understand just yet. Book Hyunghwa hugs her tightly. To you, and to the one you love, and to everyone, I will give you the greatest gift I can before I leave. A pure white light surrounds both of them. Book Hyunghwa, who had come to this world while researching the Naragi connected to the world of Salt Mountain. To that Book Hyunghwa, the entirety of her body becomes enveloped in a pure white light, like salt. As the light gathers, a single white orchid, Balan, Baek Ran, blooms in that place. The mark of the extraordinary pattern law talent that Book Hyunghwa carried in her previous life briefly appears on her face before burning completely in the white light of salt. The ashes drift and merge into Kim Yun's mark. Then, Book Hyunghwa's soul completely whitens, scattering into the void. Jing. A vast resonance echoes, and Kim Yun suddenly finds herself in a certain space. As the laws of the world of Salt Mountain blur, and Kim Yun's consciousness is transported to an entirely different dimension, she sees a massive bird sitting before her. In a trembling voice, Kim Yun asks, "Just who are they?" The bird answers, "It is a key, the law talent for liberation. A saint, Sungzik, comparable to your kind, created by a great god." The bird continues speaking, that though it has been passed down to them, for those slaves of death to accept it, a price must be paid. That she, the successor of the Tridacna vast cold heavenly king among the slaves of death, must choose whether to accept it. Kim Yun stares at the bird for a moment before finally opening her mouth. "I will accept, because thy art." "No, you are." She approaches the bird and embraces it. The fate Hyunghwa left behind. Before she knows it, the bird has transformed into the figure of Book Hyunghwa. The bird, now in the form of Book Hyunghwa, smiles faintly and merges into Kim Yun. At the same time, a message from the bird, in the form of Book Hyunghwa, echoes in Kim Yun's mind. That, as the Zhou clan was cursed with mental regression, and Book Hyunghwa was cursed with full-body paralysis, she, having chosen it, will inevitably suffer sudden misfortune as the price. "I will accept any misfortune. I will carry it in my embrace." Then, someone laughs from within the darkness. Not knowing the heart your master left behind, nor the heart of the child who handed you the key, you dare to claim the brilliance of Vast Cold and accept the masterpiece I've dedicated my life to? It's not because of Vast Cold's brilliance that I carry this. And I do understand their hearts. Kim Yun's eyes glow a light pink. Around her, threads of soft light begin to glow. Pasasasasa. Around her, light pink quince flowers begin to bloom one by one. Of course, I don't know everything yet. Just a speck. However, having received Hienghua's heart, I will keep thinking about it as I live on. I don't know who you are, but a wave of light pink flower petals overfloods around Kim Yun. I will accept it, and even if it's later, I will figure it out. Is that so? Someone laughs again from within the darkness. I've heard your resolve. Then, as the creator of the key and the master of the extraordinary pattern law talent, as the creator of the pseudo-ender liberation law talent, I will bestow upon you sudden misfortune as the price for receiving the key. From deep within the darkness, something massive flies towards Kim Yun. Until the day you reach the 33rd heaven, as long as you borrow the power of the liberation law talent, you shall never speak a single word. Your tongue, other than being used for tasting, may convey no meaning, and your will shall only be expressed through your actions. Through no means with your mouth shall your meaning ever be expressed. Pat it. Something is pulled from Kim Yun's mouth and is bound in the darkness. She instinctively realizes. That was her word spirit, only. From now on, she will not be able to communicate with anyone, neither through her mouth, voice transmission, her consciousness domain, nor through heart language. That is the price for accepting the liberation law talent, having accepted Book Hienghua's heart. Though it is a wretched misfortune, Kim Yun closes her eyes and accepts it. Because even if she can never speak to her loved one again, even if she can never say the words, I like you from her lips again, the fate that her most dearest friend left behind is now embedded deep within her as well. Because the traces of Zhou Yun and Hienghua have been passed down to her. With firm resolve, Kim Yun completely leaves the space within the darkness. To continue moving forward, to continue reflecting on the hearts of Zhou Yun and Hienghua. And within the darkness, the one who bestowed upon Kim Yun the liberation law talent and the sudden misfortune smiles faintly. I have kept my promise. Obsidian, vast cold, golden divine, and my old master. They curl their body into an even deeper part of the darkness where no light reaches and closes their eyes. I have protected one of them. Oh Hyun-suk looks at the child gradually fading before his eyes. It has been several years since he began staying at the royal family of Penglai Kingdom. Before he knew it, the child he had picked up had overcome her gloomy past and now considers Oh Hyun-suk as her true father. Huh. He laughs. Ha. Uh-huh. He continues to laugh. Memories from another time flow into his mind. Memories spanning approximately 700 years. Memories of another world. And he understands that the world opposite from him is the real one. Thus, he also understands. Over the past few years, the child he had tried so hard not to get attached to has already become his real child. Oh Hyun-suk finally understands the true purpose of this world. For those who enter this world, each is given a role that brings discomfort. Yunwei was placed in the situation she feared most, and John Myung-hun too was confronted with the things he longed for the most. Oh Hyun-suk himself, during his last visit to this world, experienced life with the daughter he had lost, and this time it was no different. The true purpose of this world is to show a person the possibility they've tried hardest to ignore. Kim Young-hoon was a passing scholar with no family or ties. Oh Hyun-suk was a father with a miscarried daughter. John Myung-hoon lived in a world where his lover was alive. Yunwei was in a world where she truly ended up with her lover. Seo Eun-hyun. It's unclear what, but from beginning to end, he remained a dirty charcoal maker. This world is one that unearths the most secret hopes people have hidden and creates the possibility for them to come true. Oh Hyun-suk realizes that the essence of this world is a dream, because a person's hopes can only be fulfilled in dreams. And as he realizes that this world is a dream, he understands. I missed my child this much. He is able to look into the heart he had been ignoring all this time. I wanted to become a father. Salt, when sprinkled on a wound, brings hellish pain, but it also cleanses the wound. This world is like salt being sprinkled on a wound. Oh Hyun-suk embraces his new daughter, who is gradually becoming blurry before him. Dad, where are you going? Dad, don't worry, child. He smiles through his tears. It is only at the moment of parting that he realizes. He had thought of this child as an orphan, and himself as the orphan's guardian. But in truth, this child is already his own. Oh Hyun-suk is already a father. And all fathers show their children a smiling face. I'll be back soon. Chi-yi. A purple light swirls around him. As the laws of the world blur, the power of his main body begins to return. Seo Eun-hyun had once taught him something called purple soul filling the heavens. He said that purple soul filling the heavens, which holds the potential for the evolution of all living things, would align well with the bone armor treasured origin art Oh Hyun-suk had begun to learn. And today, on this very day, as Oh Hyun-suk realizes his fate, he comes to understand the true meaning of purple soul filling the heavens. A message of inheritance to pass on to someone. Sururuk. Within the world of Salt Mountain, the law of purple soul filling the heavens enters. That law becomes a single flower bud, which is placed in the hands of Oh Hyun-suk's daughter. So just sleep for 10 more nights. Sararak. Oh Hyun-suk's purple soul filling the heavens turns into a China aster flower and is placed in his daughter's hand. Oh Hyun-suk's daughter looks into his eyes and smiles. You have to come back, Dad. Of course. You trust Dad, right? Her figure gradually becomes fainter, and finally, she completely disappears. And then, Oh Hyun-suk cries. He wanted to be a good father. But because he was just a few minutes late to the hospital, the child was lost. That's why he always lived with self-blame. However, in this world, he became a father. And at last, as he is able to lay down that self-blame, even if only a part of it, Oh Hyun-suk vigorously stops crying and laughs. Life is, his comrades are gathering again. The guests who came from the outside are all heading back together. Pleasure. Let's laugh with pleasure. Let's laugh at any time. For the daughter he will meet again someday. That's the resolve he makes. Someday, I will definitely reunite with my entire family, and together, we'll laugh. Reuniting with his entire family and laughing together. From that day on, that became Oh Hyun-suk's goal. The method to desecrate fate? The image of Great Mountain disappears. At the same time, I realize that I am gathered together with my comrades, being expelled somewhere. Pat it. The salt crystal Norgage follows me and lands in my hand. Oh Hyun-suk shouts, pleasure. Kim Yun has a pure white bird drawn on her cheek, and everyone else is making their own expressions. But my face darkens. That Great Mountain Supreme Deity said an enormous misfortune lurks before me. If even a madman who grinded the entire universe to dust says it's an enormous misfortune, then just what kind of misfortune is it? Of course, it wouldn't be from their perspective. They are the owner of Great Mountain, one of the most revered divines in the entire universe. Among the words Yang Sung spoke while I was trapped in the cycle of infinite regression, only the oldest one and the owner of light could suppress the Great Mountain Supreme Deity by force, meaning they must be within the top 5 in the entire 3,000 Great Thousand Worlds. If even by their standard it's a misfortune, then there's no solution except suicide, so there's no point in thinking about it. It must be a great misfortune from my perspective. Then what exactly is the misfortune? I grit my teeth. Whatever it is, this world has always been unimaginably cruel to us. There is nothing more I can afford to lose. Wu-wong. Gradually, my strength returns. I draw forth my will, and together with attraction force, I begin to use immortal arts. Kuguguguk. The world distorts, and I feel us being nearly completely expelled from Salt Mountain. What comes into view is the interdimensional void. It is the domain of infinite vestiges and the Middle Realms area. Yuduk. As soon as I enter the interdimensional void, I immediately draw forth attraction force and immortal arts, joining my palms together. Pat it. I first try to evacuate my comrades to the nearest middle realm. I sense the closest middle realm. The 2 closest middle realms possessing devilish energy. Pot. I send my comrades flying directly toward the true devil realm, before they even have a chance to speak. And after I send them to the true devil realm, I try to follow them by bending space with attraction force. That's when it happens. Space doesn't bend. Attraction force does not occur. No, it feels like the entire surrounding chi has dried up. What is this? Suddenly, I feel a chilling sensation in my head. Wait, when I sensed the middle realms just now, I felt 2 middle realms with devilish energy. One was the true devil realm. Then what was the other one? With a chilling feeling, I turn my gaze towards the other middle realm, the one that isn't the true devil realm. There, a red world resides. I have been waiting. In an instant, I activate immortal arts. But right after, an overwhelming force squashes my entire body, soul, integrated Tao domain, and the immortal arts I activated, killing me. That is my 20-second return. Time rewinds. I open my eyes. Did I die again? The last thing I saw in my final moment was the true immortal, Junshin, blood in, Shin, filled with malice directed at me. Even though I've learned immortal arts, I can't stand against a true immortal who truly possesses their own immortal art. Then, I feel something strange. It's the interdimensional void. But that's not the issue. My comrades are around me. And Oh Hyun-suk is shouting pleasure, while a pure white bird is drawn on Kim Yun's face. My mind freezes, and I immediately repeat what I had just done. I send my comrades to the true devil realm, and I quickly try to follow. But my attraction force and spells are rendered useless. Then, I once again notice the red world, staring at me from behind. I have been waiting. Crunch. Once more, everything about me is crushed, and I die. That is my 23rd return. Chapter 468. First day, first day, first day, first day. Piet. My consciousness returns. It's that situation again. I gasp for breath and look around at my comrades. Oh Hyun-suk is still wiping away his tears while laughing, and Kim Yun, with a solemn expression, still has the white bird drawn on her face. John Myung-hoon is trembling, as if recalling something, while Seo Ran has returned to his original form, and Hong Fan looks around in confusion. Hurry. Using attraction force and immortal arts, I tear open an entrance to the true devil realm, throwing my comrades in before attempting to follow them in. However, the moment I try to enter the true devil realm, my body is forcefully repelled. At the same time, all of my strength is forcibly sealed. I have been waiting. An all too familiar will follows. W8. Chief Judge. Puckwhack. Without even giving me time to speak, I am crushed. The last thing I remember is one phrase from Bloodying. I don't know about anything else, but I can never forgive you for summoning them inside my friend. My consciousness sinks. That is my 24th return. The first moment of the 24th cycle. Heek. I tremble uncontrollably, clenching my teeth. I look around again. It's still the same. The point of my regression has been fixed in the worst possible form. Ah no. I feel my mind going blank as I grit my teeth. Time has been fixed. I need to find a way. I need some method to escape this situation. For now, let's try not using attraction force. I suppress attraction force, seal all my spiritual power and spiritual energy, and push my comrades far off into the interdimensional void before holding my breath myself in the darkness. Alfie S. The next moment. I have been waiting. This F. Crunch. That is my 25th return. The first moment of the 25th cycle. Stay calm. First, accept that the regression has been fixed. I need to find the best way. I recall the warning Great Mountain gave me. An immense misfortune lurks ahead of you. The misfortune they spoke of must have been this, being trapped in the cycle of time. They taught me the method to desecrate fate. I recall the words of Great Mountain. I have been waiting. This D. Without giving me time to think, Bloodying appears. Crunch. That is my 26th return. The first moment of the 26th cycle. Quickly. I recall the words of the Great Mountain Supreme Deity. There's no time to think calmly. Remember, fate must be fulfilled. The fates prophesied by true immortals are of a nature that must be realized. Bloodying prophesied that our meeting is an inevitable fate. Thus, that fate must be fulfilled. You, too, can shatter a prophecy head-on once you reach this domain. But since that's impossible for you right now, I'll have to teach you a trick. Listen carefully, you fool. The method to desecrate fate is simple. If there's a fate where the universe will be destroyed, the way to twist that fate is to raise a slave called the universe, and then kill that universe. If you do so, fate will be fulfilled, no matter how forced it may be, and you'll be able to escape the absoluteness of fate by insisting to the world that you didn't resist fate. That is the way to mock and desecrate fate. Quaduk. I immediately cut off my arm and create a cursed beast. Carrick. The cursed beast rolls its eyes, unable to grasp the situation, and I shout at it. From now on, you are Bloodying. ? There, we've met now. Everything is done, right? I'm leaving. I open the door to the true devil realm together with my comrades. They reach the true devil realm, and I am thrown out. Tum. Heek. Heek. Dripping in cold sweat, I look back. I have been waiting. The figure is there again. That is my 27th return. The first moment of the 27th cycle. I realize that I'm a moron. Because I didn't have enough time to think things through, I acted too hastily. But even without time, failure still leads to growth. More of Great Mountain's words come to mind. Of course, a being on the level of a true immortal wouldn't leave behind such a sloppy loophole. For example, even if you raise a slave called the universe, if that slave only shares the name with the universe and nothing else, the identity likely wouldn't be accepted. So, to bypass fate using such a sacrifice, you'd at least need to bring in something like a small universe. If it truly possesses the same essence as the entire heavenly domain, then it's possible to forcefully fulfill the fate. I have been waiting. At least give me some time to reflect on the past. 28. TL. One of the two ways to say 28 is similar to this fuck. Puduk. That is my 28th return. The 28th cycle. I have no choice but to recall Great Mountain's whispers even faster in this ever-pressing time constraint. Therefore, the method to desecrate fate is to perfectly fulfill that fate on a smaller scale. By doing so, you'll build up resistance to that fate, making it difficult for the same fate to affect you twice. That is the only way for someone at your level to defy fate. In short, it's a kind of apotropaic magic, like stepping in dung and encountering a small misfortune, thus avoiding a greater disaster. By warding off bad luck like that, just as I gained resistance after seeing governing immortal and indirectly encountering higher beings a few times, the same resistance builds up against fate itself, allowing one to escape from it. It's like how a god cannot destroy the world twice with the same prophecy of a great flood. Of course, you'd still need the abilities of the sacred vessel stage for that. What am I supposed to even do? I've told you everything. Survive. Then, die by my hand. With that, my memory of Great Mountain's advice ends. Huh, what am I supposed to do? I have been waiting. Hold on, Elder. Crunch. Perfectly. Same essence, small scale, fulfill fate. That is my 29th return. The 29th cycle. Tung. As soon as the cycle begins, I send my comrades flying toward the astral realm, while I move to the true devil realm. Ha 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 ha. I let out a cry of joy. I did it. Though separated from my comrades, I succeeded in being the first to enter the true devil realm without hesitation the moment the cycle began. According to Beck Woon's explanation, the true devil realm is practically the same entity as Bloodine. The fate of meeting Bloodine has been fulfilled. For now, if I move to the lower realms or another middle realm. And then, the sky of the true devil realm turns red. Interesting. In truth, they were originally one body. Though separated, they are the same entity, so I thought the fate of reunion was fulfilled. Is it because the name is different? A name carries fate. The being who was once Yu Hao Te was renamed Bloodine, and their fate has also changed. In that case, the true devil realm is not the same as Bloodine. I have been waiting for you. You called upon them. You alone cannot be forgiven. But at the same time, because they were once the same entity, it's a world where they can interfere whenever they want. Is that it? Feeling an overwhelming despair, I grit my teeth and pull out the last resort I can muster. Immortal cultivation is repentant enlightenment, just like tiny grains of salt. Crunch. That is my 30th return. The 30th cycle. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. I feel my mind slipping from the 30th cycle. It feels so distant. There's no answer. Just how in the world am I supposed to escape from here? I sense that the being can follow me even if I escape to the ends of the universe. Even pulling out the phenomena extinguishing mantra won't work. I'll be killed before it activates. No, even if it does activate, the difference in level between me and Great Mountain is so vast that it would barely destroy the human realm territory and the surrounding area, let alone the heavenly domain. Extinguishing divine tribulating heavens. I invoke another immortal art that twists fate, the extinguishing divine tribulating heavens technique. A cloud of calamity obscures the sky, blocking fate. Do you know how many times I have suffered at the hand of the lightning immortal? Puckwhack. The red world pierces through the black cloud and crashes down on me. I have waited a long time. Crew lunch. That is my 31st return. 31st cycle. Huh. Ha ha. Ha ha ha. I laugh maniacally. Everything feels utterly hopeless, just as it did when everything was destroyed by the Great Mountain Supreme Deity. When I was tortured by Yang Sung, I did recover my memory at the last moment, but since I lost the memory of me within the countless regressions, it didn't feel this distant. But this time, I can feel it very clearly, that there really is no answer. I am trapped in this timeline. Ha ha ha. I have been waiting. Wapa. Crunch. That is my 32nd return. 32nd cycle. Hua. I hurl myself at Bloodine with every bit of strength I have. I die while only screaming. That is my 33rd return. 33rd cycle. 34th cycle. 35th cycle. You bastard. Do you know who I am? I am the current chief judges. Baduduk, Badudaduduk. I try to impersonate one of the beings of the underworld with the intensifying aura of death, but I die in the most excruciating way so far. That is my 36th return. 62nd cycle. 63rd cycle. 64th cycle. Zhengli, Zhengli, Zhengli. Yang Sung, Yang Sung, Yang Sung. You triple X. Somebody, anybody, come here. Hurry, please. That is my 65th return. 222nd cycle. 223rd cycle. 224th cycle. Ho-ho Taoist blood. Do you know who I am? Sent by the oldest one, I am. Just who are you daring to impersonate? Jiaying. Chijijijijijik. I die experiencing not only every imaginable pain a human body can endure, but also the pain that can be endured by every living being of the bright cold realm, true devil realm, and Bloodine realm. That is my 225th return. Which cycle am I on again? Ah, I remember now. This is already the 500th cycle. I feel my head aching as I think. Even as I keep dying, I think. In all 500 attempts, I've tried everything I could, using every plan and power at my disposal. I've shouted for Zhengli. I've even tried calling upon Yang Sung and the heavenly venerable of time, and even the radiant eight immortals that Beck Woon once called upon. But the time given to me is too short. No matter what I do, I die in an instant. It's impossible to fight back. Even the method to defy fate that Great Mountain told me about cannot be attempted unless I reach the sacred vessel level. But I'm not even at the star shattering stage, let alone the sacred vessel stage. My martial realm is at void shattering, but still, wait. As I meet my 558th death, something comes to mind. Can I do it? I grit my teeth as I organize the thought that just popped up in my head. There was a time when I even tried to return to Bloodine, but that didn't work either. I just ended up dying a slightly more painful death. Asking for help from someone won't break this situation. I need to raise my realm. Right now, I must raise both realms of the heaven and earth tribes to reach the star-shattering stage. Crunch. 612th death. If I turn heaven, earth, and heart into the star-shattering stage, the three great ultimates will manifest. Moreover, within my domain, there is even the artificial star created by the Mad Lord. If I rise to the star-shattering stage, I'll be able to match heaven, earth, heart, and puppet. If I can do that, perhaps, with the realm of the star-shattering stage, I might be able to wield strength comparable to the sacred vessel stage. I'll rise to the star-shattering stage, use the strength of the sacred vessel stage to defy fate, and break through head-on. A head-on breakthrough. That is the only option left for me. Amidst endless deaths, I begin to continuously undergo repentant enlightenment from the chi-gathering stage to the star-shattering stage, all for the sake of a head-on breakthrough. 700th cycle. With eyes gleaming, I form hand seals. From now on, I will begin the star-shattering advancement ritual. Chapter 469, Star-Shattering Advancement. Starting from the chi-gathering and chi-refining stages all the way to the integration stage. There is a commonality in the advancement rituals for advancing through these stages. It is precisely the concept of building up. During the chi-refining stage, one builds up heaven and earth spiritual energy. From the chi-building stage, it's the spiritual power refined into pure spiritual force. From the core formation stage, spiritual power is even more densely packed inside the golden core, and in the nascent soul stage, spiritual power is divided and stored in the nascent soul. During the heavenly being stage, heaven and earth spiritual energy is used to build the heavenly circle. In the four-axis stage, the 5 elements and 5 blessings are used to build the earthly bearings. In the integration stage, the heavenly circle and earthly bearings are combined to fill the integrated Tao domain with heaven and earth spiritual energy, building the 6 harmonies divine powers. This is the commonality across all immortal cultivation that begins from the chi refining stage. However, there is a slight difference that emerges at the star-shattering stage. At the star-shattering stage, there is no more building up. One simply breaks. As I prepare for the star-shattering advancement ritual, Bloodine stops from immediately killing me and looks down at me. They seem to be intrigued. Well, that's only natural. When it comes to the star-shattering ascension ritual, it's understandable to be looked down upon like this. After all, the star-shattering advancement ritual is notorious for being called a suicide ritual by many grand perfection integration stage cultivators, due to its extreme severity. Perhaps they find it amusing because I'm choosing the most gruesome method of suicide for myself. That infamous star-shattering advancement ritual is, surprisingly, extremely simple. Simpler than any other stage I've built up to so far. Exploding. The advancement ritual for the star-shattering stage is to explode everything I've built since the chi-gathering stage up to the grand perfection integration stage. Yeah, keep looking down like that, Bloodine. They seem to think I would die horrifically from failing the star-shattering advancement, and even if I succeed, they have the confidence to still crush me the same way. You won't be able to look down for much longer. I'll make you into the dog that chases after the chicken. The advancement to the star-shattering stage, which brings one close to the peak of cultivation and referred to as a demigod, is, amusingly enough, very similar to the chi-building advancement ritual. At the 13th star of chi refining, one gathers heaven and earth spiritual energy into one clump using the formula for unified origin. Then, with the formula of the 14th star, infinite spiritual cloud, it is exploded to form a spiritual cloud and then a spiritual star, completing the advancement to the chi-building stage. The star-shattering advancement is identical. Just like the chi-building advancement, one treats all of the cultivation and integrated Tao domain built as a unified origin and explodes it. Quarum. My integrated Tao domain, now entirely filled with the glass sword mountain like my heart essence domain, begins to rampage. Integrated Tao domain. Colorless glass mountain treading sea, Wuser Gensan Daoha. My integrated Tao domain, which was named together with crystal glass to treading sea, faces its end as soon as it was named. Don't worry. This is not the end, but the beginning. While consoling my integrated Tao domain, which is about to shatter as soon as it was named, I pour strength into it. Here I go. Quag-wag-wag-wang. The small world within me is destroyed. A tremendous roar and explosion reverberate through the interdimensional void, and an immense light bursts out from within me. From the explosion that originates from me, a massive dust cloud forms and shapes itself into a nebula. If the 14th stage of chi refining creates the infinite spiritual cloud, then the star-shattering stage is about exploding the integrated Tao domain to form a nebula. Perhaps, The advancement from the chi refining stage to the chi building stage was merely practice for this moment. Chi Yi. I regained consciousness within the nebula. Everything is hazy. It's only natural. I just exploded my domain with all my strength, which is practically no different from my main body. Who could remain unscathed after blowing up their own body, soul, life, and cultivation to the point of turning it to dust? 8 to 9 out of 10 integration cultivators perish at this point of the star-shattering advancement ritual, with their spirit completely disintegrating into dust alongside the nebula formed by the explosion. This is why the void refining Dharma treasure is necessary. Through the colorless glass sword shining in the center of the nebula, I begin to regain even more clarity in my consciousness. The void refining Dharma treasure, which an integration stage cultivator synchronizes with their integrated Tao domain and connects to their heart essence, does not explode even during the explosion of the star-shattering advancement ritual. This is because even though it is synchronized with the cultivator, it is still an external object. But it is an external object that has been synchronized. Therefore, although it does not explode, it remains within the nebula as it is still connected to the heart essence, assisting in the reassembly of the scattered spirit and consciousness. Ordinary grand perfection integration cultivators would move to the edge of the chaos realm when performing the advancement ritual, stabilizing the space and setting up formations around them to help condense their consciousness. By doing so, the sacred master of the middle realm could intervene to provide a faint amount of assistance. They could use the laws of the middle realm to help condense the consciousness a little. Of course, even with this assistance, 8-9 out of 10 still die. It wasn't something to worry about too much, huh? Having already reached void shattering, I am able to quickly regain my consciousness even though it was completely scattered into the nebula. Rather than that, Blood Yin's heavenly demons infiltrate my nebula to interfere with my efforts to gather my consciousness. Judging by the fact that they haven't completely scattered the nebula yet, it seems they plan to crush me even more painfully once I fully reach the star-shattering stage. That arrogance will be what lets me escape. After completely ignoring the heavenly demons and keeping my consciousness clear, I proceed to the next step. Now comes the most crucial part. Once a grand perfection integration stage cultivator has fully regained their consciousness through the void refining Dharma treasure within the remains of their exploded body, that is when the true advancement begins. Just as the spiritual cloud is formed in the 14th star of Qi refining, and the spiritual star is created in the first constellation of Qi building. During the star-shattering advancement, one must use the nebula formed from the explosion of the integrated Tao domain to create a real star. Of course, it won't be at the level of a sun or planet, but rather a satellite like the moon. Nevertheless, the star that is formed will become the cultivator's main body going forward, allowing them to travel across light years through the star's attraction force and wield cosmic authority, exploding everything and turning oneself into a cloud of dust, then creating a star from within that dust cloud. That is precisely why esteemed ones are called star-shattering, shattered star, cultivators. And now, the real problem begins. I've lost all my cultivation. Though I regained consciousness within the nebula, that's all. I am now nothing more than a single soul inside the nebula. I can no longer use the vast attraction force, spiritual power, spells, or even the Dharma treasures I once controlled. The refining void Dharma treasure must focus solely on keeping my consciousness intact, and I've lost all other authorities due to the recent explosion of all my cultivation. There's no hopeful scenario where, because the nebula originated from me, I can move it. That nebula is no longer something that came from me, but rather the remains I left behind after my suicide. How could a dead soul possibly move its own corpse? That's impossible. Now I must do exactly that. To reach the star-shattering stage, I must achieve the impossible. Kururum. Heavenly tribulation begins to crash down from within my nebula. The nebula has become a cloud, and heavenly tribulation descends violently toward my consciousness. Kurum. Compared to the size of the nebula, the heavenly tribulation is still at a laughable level. But I need to advance quickly. Otherwise, the heavenly tribulation will continue to grow. Kururum. Lightning sparks start to gradually increase within the nebula. At first, it's just static crackling at the edge of the nebula, but gradually, the size and shape of the lightning become clearer. Even now, the tribulation matches the level of a late integration stage tribulation. If it continues to grow, I can't even imagine how terrifying it will become. Moreover, this isn't even the true heavenly tribulation of the star-shattering advancement yet. It's merely the precursor phenomenon before the real tribulation arrives. Ying. While maintaining my consciousness with the colorless glass sword, I begin to block the precursor heavenly tribulation using the other colorless glass swords. Since I've already reached void shattering, my reliance on the refining void Dharma treasure is lower than that of other cultivators, making this possible. Alright, let's do this. In the integration stage, one gains 6 divine powers. According to what I learned from Chongmun Ryong, these 6 divine powers of the integration stage are actually the basic immortal art, various omens. Furthermore, immortal arts can be activated purely with the heart, without the need for cultivation. It seems any cultivator who hasn't trained the 6 divine powers of the integration stage into the domain of immortal arts won't even be able to attempt the star-shattering advancement. At this moment, having lost all cultivation, what is necessary to condense a star is precisely various omens. Rain, Hu, sunlight, Yang, heat, Hu, cold, Feng, wind, Feng, time, He. With the immortal art of cloudiness, Yu, I gather the nebula. With the immortal art of warmth, Yu, I raise the temperature at the center of the gathered nebula. With the immortal art of wind, Feng, I shape the center of the nebula into the form of a star. With the immortal art of flow of time, Su, I begin the rotation of the star. With the immortal art of coldness, Han, I gradually cool the temperature of the star. With the immortal art of clearness, Yang, I completely solidify the star's form. Ying. In an instant, the 6 immortal arts activate, sequentially completing the star inside the interdimensional void. From now on, this is my new body. My mind settles into the satellite I created. Kurung. I gradually solidify my consciousness inside the satellite, watching the signs of heavenly tribulation surging around me. The size of the signs of the heavenly tribulation continues to grow, as if it is locking the entire satellite in a prison of lightning. Now, the true heavenly tribulation will come. I swallow and wait for the heavenly tribulation. Woo-woo. In my sight, the middle realms begin to appear. Each of the middle realms has its own sky, and in each of those skies, constellations are reflected. Then, what are those constellations? Their true identity is the astral realm. The skies of the middle realms are all reflecting the astral realm. Hot. Why then, do the middle realms reflect the astral realm? It is because, in the end, the light of the astral realm occupies the most important position for all living beings when it comes to cultivation. Just like right now. Woo-woo. Beyond the interdimensional void, the starlight of the astral realm shines upon me, and the heavenly tribulation begins. Flash. The heavenly tribulation starting from the star-shattering stage is nothing like an ordinary lightning tribulation. The heavenly tribulation of the star-shattering stage is also known as a star tribulation, Xingjie, a tribulation directly sent down by the stars of the astral realm. And, unlike the heavenly tribulations at the integration stage, which have a set number, the star-shattering heavenly tribulation descends as one ray from each of all stars that shine upon the cultivator during the cultivator's advancement ritual in the astral realm. Quarrurum. The star tribulation of the first star descends. Quajajajijik. As I am exposed to the immense power of the star, I squeeze out all my strength to prevent the star I created from being destroyed. Ordinary cultivators in the star-shattering stage conduct their advancement ritual in the Chaos Realm regions of the Middle Realms. Chaos Realm regions, like the Dead Earth domain where Lofty Dragon True Person Storage Scroll is located, often have periods when starlight doesn't shine well. Cultivators aim for those times to drastically reduce the number of tribulations they face. But in the interdimensional void, such things don't work. Quarrurum. Kook. An overwhelming amount of starlight shines down from beyond the interdimensional void, from the astral realm. After all, the place where the astral realm clings tightly to, like the netherworld, fate realm, and flower realm, is the interdimensional void. This is a place where by just slightly adjusting the plane, it is possible to see as many starlights as one wants. Quajajajijik. Finally, the first ray of the star tribulation, which felt like eternal punishment, ends. Since I've reached the realm of void shattering, I could endure it easily. But the problem starts now. I let out a low groan as I gaze upon the endless starlight shining down from beyond the interdimensional void. Can I block all of that? Just roughly counting the bright shining starlights alone already numbers in the hundreds of millions. Including the dim starlights, I will have to endure tens, hundreds of billions of these star tribulations. I have to do it. At that moment. How moving. The voice of Blood Een, who had been silently observing until now, sends a message with a sneer. Heek. Seeing Blood Yin's true body, I am hit with a shock that makes my mind feel like it's on the verge of collapsing, and my body trembles. That's a true immortal's true body. Having acquired the body of a star, I am finally able to perceive a higher dimension. Only now am I able to understand just how terrifying an entity a true immortal truly is. The realm of void shattering is a different system. So even though I saw Blood Een and understood the terror of a true immortal, I couldn't fully grasp it. However, at this very moment, I feel my very existence forcibly collapsing in front of Blood Een. Did I miscalculate again? The very act of advancing to the star-shattering stage, it seems I overlooked the possibility of becoming even more vulnerable in front of Bloodine. The more truths and understanding I gain, the more dangerous this action becomes, and I didn't even realize it. It's when I'm trembling. As a senior, I cannot turn a blind eye to the suffering of a junior. Bloodine, in a manner as if feeling pity, starts doing something to my mind, and I immediately recognize the nature of their spell. This is devilish spell. By we melody chur. Pat it. In an instant, my mind starts to clear. Attraction force enters through my Biwi point, rotates within my brain, and exits through my forehead. Of course, in my star-formed body, I have no such physical organs, but that's how it feels. At the same time, I sense my consciousness domain becoming endlessly clearer, and my sensory perception sharpens even more than when I ingested the poison Hong Fan gave me. It's not something that's eroding me like purple soul filling the heavens or heart demons. It's purely amplifying my abilities temporarily. Yet, even though my sweat glands no longer exist, I feel cold sweat running down my back. This can't possibly be a blessing. It's undoubtedly a calamity in disguise. In the next moment, devilish spell, protecting melody. Only after Bloodine gives me a blessing that increases my physical capabilities and life force do I understand their true intention. After Bloodine's blessing passes, the densely packed star tribulations in the sky are momentarily held back by Bloodine. Bloodine looks down at me and smiles as if feeling thrilled. As one star tribulation after another descends, they continue to amplify above the protective barrier created by Bloodine. Now, as a senior, I will help my junior. Flash, pat it. The starlight in the sky gradually brightens. Insane. Is this what they call karmic retribution? It feels like I'm receiving back what I once did to Yuanli. Finally, as the star tribulation amplifies and amplifies, when Bloodine's protective barrier begins to crack, only then do I look at the massive torrent of star tribulations crashing down on me with a hollow, exhausted laugh. If John Myung-hoon offered up a finger as a sacrifice, no. Even if he turned into John Myung-hoon juice for a human sacrifice, could that delay this heavenly tribulation for even 1 second? In the next moment, I experience the star tribulations engulfing my entire body, and even my screams are crushed by the overwhelming power of the tribulation. My senses, forcibly amplified by Bloodine by billions of times, completely receive the pain of the star tribulation amplified by billions of times. My life force, strengthened and toughened by Bloodine, survives for 10 days while each grain of sand within my star-formed body cracks and explodes. Amidst unbearable agony that feels as though it will turn me into an imbecile, a forgotten memory resurfaces. I see. The heavenly silkworm controlling ghosts art, which manipulates multiple tools, was not a martial art I created. It was a martial art I learned from someone. Yes, it was a martial art I learned from Hong Fan, who also has a talent for martial arts. He once said to me, if there is a next life, I will follow master in that life as well. So please, teach me martial arts then too. My entering heavens beyond the path will not change even then. Even if eternal and infinite time passes, my heart will remain unchanged. Recalling a scene from my forgotten 16th cycle, I lose consciousness while searching for the clue to break free from this cycle of time. Hong Fan's entering heavens beyond the path. Only that can help me in the current situation. That is my 701st return. Chapter 470, 701st Cycles, First Day. And life after the 701st death. I collect myself quickly and assess the situation. I failed to advance. But it's fine. I gained more important information. I need to get Hong Fan's help, Hong Fan's assistance. I swiftly organized the memories that just resurfaced. After the 15th cycle, during the 16th cycle, I truly witnessed the genius of Hong Fan, one of which was his martial arts. I taught Hong Fan martial arts. Moreover, he mastered any martial art almost instantly. After he entered the transformation stage, when he could shift into a human form and unfold martial arts, his genius became even more apparent. Hong Fan had an aptitude for all weapons, and whichever weapon he wielded, he used it with the most optimal movements. It was to the point that I couldn't help but be reminded of Kim Young-hoon during the 16th cycle. Now that I think about it, that wasn't something you'd simply call talent. Rather, it was less of talent and more like someone at a higher level who had temporarily lost their memory and was gradually regaining their senses. It was something I could easily recognize because I had done the same thing multiple times myself. It's probably something related to Hong Fan's past life. In any case, not long after I taught him martial arts, Hong Fan's martial prowess advanced rapidly. I recall the moment he crossed the ultimate pinnacle and reached entering heavens beyond the path. I remember it clearly. Hong Fan, with threads tied to the tips of his 10 fingers, attached unique weapons to the ends of each thread. Sword, spear, shield, bow, whipstaff, ring, iron whip, halberd, dagger. Surrounding those 10 weapons were dozens of other weapons. From bizarre weapons like the tiger hook, 9-section whip, iron fan, and judge pen, to war weapons like the moon blade, Korean polearm, padao, and long spear, an innumerable number of weapons lay beside Hong Fan. Then, after that scene, he revealed his gang sphere. 9 gang spheres began to spin behind Hong Fan. His gang spheres, filled with different deadly poisons, were no different from poison pellets. Just brushing against them would kill most living beings. The pitch-black spheres devoured the surrounding light. At the same time, the poison rose to an even higher dimension from the plane of Qi, transforming into something metaphysical. This is my martial art. Impressive. To integrate the martial flow of 10,000 weapons through poison. I remember that conversation. It's a splendid martial art. No, my martial art is not splendid at all. It is not that kind of martial arts. What? Why? How can such an incredible martial art not be considered good? Hong Fan said to me. First of all, my martial art was not created to compete with others. Then what is that martial art for? This martial art was created so that I would not have to compete with others. TSTSTSTST. Hong Fan's black gang spheres merged into his entering heavens beyond the path, and before I knew it, the pitch-black aura started to engulf the surroundings. The black mist he exuded seemed to devour the surrounding weapons and erode the nearby space. As I watched even the light being endlessly sucked into the darkness, I asked him a question. What is the true meaning of his martial art? He answered, to survive. To survive? Yes, it exists for survival. This martial art is the crystallization of doing whatever it takes to survive. Killing my enemies, killing anything that threatens me, killing, and killing again. If I can't kill, I run. If I can't run, even if I have to steal from others, doing whatever I can to survive. That is this entering heavens beyond the path. In the darkness, Hong Fan took his stance. What does Master think is the most necessary thing for survival? What is it? Learning. Learning? Yes. I will show you. I saw Hong Fan's dance that day. It was a dance filled with endless possibilities. What was the reason poison was born in this world? It was to survive. Poison that inflicts pain to make sure the enemy can never hunt me. Poison that paralyzes the prey to make them easier to kill and consume. Poison that kills the charging opponent instantly. Poison exists to protect oneself and to survive. Poison is pain. And pain, in the end, is the teacher of life. I exchanged blows with Hong Fan. Then, Hong Fan's entering heavens beyond the path quickly learned my formless sword, connected it into his own martial art, and used that connection to gain a momentary advantage over me. So that's it. The essence of your martial art is the unification of martial flow. The me of that time who was at Treading Heavens could instantly grasp the true meaning of Hong Fan's martial art. The true meaning of Hong Fan's martial art is precisely unification. It's about connecting his own martial art with the opponent's and unifying their martial flow. And in that unified state, he could read the opponent's flow, distort it, control it according to his will, and ultimately reverse it. That is the ability of Hong Fan's entering heavens beyond the path. So why do I need Hong Fan's entering heavens beyond the path at this very moment? Heavenly tribulation. I look beyond the interdimensional void and gaze at the bright star tribulations. The reason Blood Ean didn't block my first heavenly tribulation wasn't just to watch my performance, but also because the first tribulation struck so quickly that there wasn't time to block it properly. Therefore, when I face the star-shattering heavenly tribulation, I am bound to take the first tribulation head-on, no matter what. To connect martial arts and unify them means, in other words, to connect hearts and unify them for a brief moment. And the hearts of the Heart Tribe are the same as heavenly tribulations. In other words, through Hong Fan's entering heavens beyond the path, I can unify the unavoidable first tribulation and all the heavenly tribulations that follow subsequently. John Myung-hoon. Hong Fan. I throw my remaining comrades into the true devil realm, leaving only the 2 of them behind as I prepare for the star-shattering advancement ritual. Blood Ean, watching my advancement preparations, grants me a momentary reprieve, and I shout toward the 2 of them. From this moment on, I need your help. Integrated Dao Domain. Colorless Sword Mountain Treading Sea. After activating my integrated Dao Domain, I begin to make it explode as I speak. Unite my heavenly tribulations. After sending my heart language to the 2 of them, I quickly begin my star-shattering advancement. There's no other way right now. I look at Hong Fan. I know that Hong Fan had taught martial arts to Kim Yun and has occasionally been training his own martial arts as well. With his talent, at the very least, he should be close to the enlightenment of entering heavens beyond the path. So, I can only hope. For this one time, I desperately pray to the heavens that he can attain entering heavens beyond the path. Heavens above. If you are a sapient being, I hate you. But if I continue to die here, won't this world come to a halt? for the sake of the flow of this world, and for the sake of a true genius like Hong Fan, not a dullard like me, I desperately pray that Hong Fan reaches entering heavens beyond the path. So, you must reach it, Hong Fan. Quack 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 quang. Amidst the explosion, I shout towards Hong Fan. Hong Fan's heart essence, even compared to all other beings, is alien. It's so alien that I can't even tell if he's reached entering heavens beyond the path. An endless darkness world where not even a trace of light can penetrate. However, unlike the tainted and chaotic darkness of people like Zhou Yun or Xiao Huiol, it is calm and serene, like the darkness of an endless night sky. It almost seems like the heart essence of someone peacefully asleep. All I see is darkness. Thus, I cannot determine if he has reached entering heavens beyond the path, and all I can do is pray. Quarrerum. Once again, I transform into a nebula and continue my advancement into the star-shattering stage. John Myung-hoon is struggling between life and death just from defending himself from the aftermath of my advancement, and Hong Fan is hiding behind John Myung-hoon and seems to be analyzing the true meaning of my words, explaining it to him. If John Myung-hoon and Hong Fan combine their powers, and I exert a bit of strength, I can face the star-shattering heavenly tribulation by taking just one combined tribulation and end it all at once. If that happens, I will have the opportunity to fully enter the star-shattering stage and attempt the method that Great Mountain told me. Kururum. Maybe it's because I've done this before. I find the star-shattering stage advancement ritual relatively easy to handle. Once again, I gather my consciousness within the nebula and from the center, draw forth clouds with my immortal art. Then, I sense something strange during the advancement. Wait, something's odd. Something is different from the advancement ritual of the previous cycle. I realize the reason right away. I see. The nebula that is erupting from my body is twice that of the previous cycle. Even if I die, I can maintain my cultivation realm when regressing thanks to void shattering. Then what happened this time after returning again, after my star-formed body was torn apart by the heavenly tribulation in the previous cycle? It's simple. I did not fully reach the star-shattering stage. However, after I self-destructed, my body became a nebula, then reformed into the shape of a star, and was once again torn apart by the heavenly tribulation. Thus, what remained was merely the gigantic cloud of dust left after the star was pulverized by the heavenly tribulation. Those dust particles moved to the plane of soul through the realm of void shattering, and they accompanied my return. In other words, the nebula formed from my remains in the previous cycle followed me into this one. Kagugugu. There isn't much change. I think as I absorb the nebula. Though the nebula has doubled in size, the mass of the star has only slightly increased. It hasn't grown exponentially in size or anything of the sort. It does seem like the attraction force has become a bit stronger than before, but that's about it. Of course, if the nebula continues to accumulate every time I advance, theoretically, if I die about 10 billion times, I might be able to become a true immortal. However, as I feel the death piling up deep within my soul, I realize that I cannot proceed in this way. That method won't work. Even now, I've died far too many times. Though I feel safe for now, a creeping sense of unease seizes my mind, warning me that if I die too many times, I'll be dragged straight to the netherworld. I need to escape quickly at the appropriate time. Kururum. As I proceed with the advancement ritual with the doubled nebula, I finally succeed in fully solidifying the form of the star. Kururum. Then, familiar starlight twinkles in the sky. The star tribulation is about to begin. I focus my consciousness on Hong Fan and John Myung-hoon. Hong Fan, I know you've been practicing martial arts. I also have a rough idea of where the pinnacle of your martial arts will lead, as I've reached the realm of void shattering. Right now, I need your strength. Please, lend me your power. Hong Fan and John Myung-hoon both begin forming hand seals with determined expressions. Integrated Tao Domain. Great heavenly rain of the charged lightning veil. Darkness world. 2 integrated Tao domains unfold before me. It seems Hong Fan had already grasped the meaning behind my words at some point and shared it with John Myung-hoon. I will show you, Master. This is Wai Yang. The inside of his integrated Tao domain begins to rotate. At the same time, Hong Fan's will unfolds throughout the world. It's the same. Hong Fan's entering heavens beyond the path from the past life heads towards the star tribulation about to fall on me. And, Wadak, Hong Fan explodes and dies. It's bloodine. Would I let you interrupt the play, Jir? The star tribulation plunges toward me. John Myung-hoon, despite Hong Fan's death, doesn't run away. Perhaps he resolved to carry out the plan they discussed together. He ignites his true origin. Quadragigic. But it's useless. John Myung-hoon's true body is far too insufficient to handle the overwhelmingly cosmic heavenly tribulations of the stars. At best, he only manages to combine a mere several million or so heavenly tribulations into one. Even if he is loved by heavenly punishment, that's the limit. I endure the several million heavenly tribulations that have merged into one with all my strength. As I endure, I look at John Myung-hoon, who has completely exhausted his energy, turned pale, and died. John Myung-hoon, Hong Fan. John Myung-hoon is smiling. I don't know why he's smiling. Maybe he's in the middle of reuniting with Jin So-hae, who has already died. I can't see where their souls have gone, and all that remains is the smile the two left behind. As a senior, I shall help my junior. Blood-in mocks me again, blocking the heavenly tribulations and strengthening me. With the heavenly tribulation being blocked by them, and in this moment of brief respite, I compress the body of the star. Then, I overlay my incarnation on top of the body of the star. TSTSTSTST. The body of the human Seo Eun-hyun returns. Looking up at Blood-in with the body of the human Seo Eun-hyun, I open my mouth. Are you enjoying this? Surung. I draw the colorless glass sword. I begin to burn my true origin. Burning all of my lifespan and true origin, I pour everything into the sword. Doing something this insane in the middle of a heavenly tribulation inevitably results in death, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to die anyway. There isn't even enough time to grieve for Hong Fan and John Myung-hoon's deaths. Therefore, in this short window, I must do what I can. I will escape from your grasp. I directly explode the body that has taken the form of a star. Becoming the explosion itself, I charge towards Blood-in. Even if I die 100 times, 1,000 times, 10,000 times over, Blood-in's single strike flashes in my mind. My hope of escaping through Hong Fan was trampled mercilessly. What am I supposed to do? After dying nearly 700 times, I know that bowing down, begging, and groveling pitifully doesn't work. The answer has always been to face it head-on. Swallowing my sorrow and rage, I fly towards Blood-in, unleashing a single sword strike containing all of my pain. The single strike of true immortal Blood-in that crushed and killed Hong Fan. A true immortal single strike. If I can block that strike just once, hope will appear. The goal is set. No matter how many times I die and come back, I must be able to block Blood-in's single strike. If I can block a true immortal strike, I will be able to see the hope of escaping through Hong Fan and John Myung-hoon. Therefore, I will keep dying. I will die over and over, and constantly fail. And by piling up the mountain of failure, I will definitely break free from this horrific cycle of regression. Definitely. Blood-in dismissively flicks away everything I throw at them. I am sent flying back, struck by the amplified torrent of heavenly tribulation caused by Blood-in. In the agony of the heavenly tribulations, I suppress my fury and resolve to escape from this cycle no matter what must be done. I vow this. That is my 702nd return. The first moment of the 985th cycle. At last, I managed to grasp a clue. The form has taken shape. Severing mountain swordsmanship, the 33rd move. The form of the technique, which I named Sumeru, flickers before my eyes. This will be the key to blocking the single strike of a true immortal. Chapter 471, Divine Descent, Jangsun. All the divine spirits ruling this world know one thing. That is, while the realm after death may belong to the heavenly venerables, life before death is spent entirely under the gaze of light. As such, countless spirits fear, revere, and simultaneously worship the light. And, for that reason, they also despise it. Among them, Blood-in particularly hates the light. No, to be precise, they have hated it ever since the days when they were still Yuhaute. When they learned the truth about the light and its ugly purpose from the oldest one, they began to despise the light. Of course, now that they have lost the power and backing they once had, they are treated like a bug by the light and must fear it, but they still hate the light. With the added matter of their old friend, Vast Cold, the light became even more loathsome. Thus, they cannot forgive Baek Woon, the devotee of the light who manages Vast Cold's corpse. Moreover, they cannot forgive Seo Eun-hyun, the one who brought light into that world. While they might not be able to touch Baek Woon, who is assimilating with the bright cold realm, Seo Eun-hyun is different. At most, Seo Eun-hyun only became an esteemed one by handling discarded old power like the Heart Tribe, or whatever it's called. He isn't particularly intimidating, and even if he raises the realm of his heaven and earth dual cultivation to the star-shattering stage, it wouldn't be scary. There's no need to mention the entering nirvana stage, and even sacred masters are not frightening unless they are assimilated with the middle realms. How much less so would someone at the mere star-shattering stage be? However, Blood-in feels something strange. It's Seo Eun-hyun, with whom they reunited due to their own prophecy. The moment Seo Eun-hyun saw them, he immediately began advancing to the star-shattering stage, as if desperately trying to resist. Originally, Blood-in planned to kill him and extract and torture his soul for tens of thousands of years. But now, Blood-in watches with amusement, as if Seo Eun-hyun is saving them the trouble of killing him. After all, The probability of advancing to the star-shattering stage isn't high, and even if by some miracle he succeeds, it would only make him more vulnerable to a true immortal after reaching the star-shattering stage, so there's nothing to worry about. Even if he doesn't become more vulnerable, it's just a single star-shattering stage. An early star-shattering stage at that. Compared to a true immortal, the difference is as extreme as that between a human and a long-tailed tit, or perhaps a chick. Surely, it must be like that. But as Blood Een watches Seo Eunhyun advance before their eyes, and the star he completed, they are shocked. What are you? Normally, a star created during one's first advancement to the star-shattering stage is about the size of a satellite. However, the star that appeared before Blood Yin's eyes, it's clearly the size of a planet. This is definitely not a normal situation. Why ying? Moreover, Blood Een can't help but be astonished by the ring that begins to form around Seo Eunhyun. Heaven and Earth dual cultivation. How? No matter if it's someone who cultivated Heaven and Earth dual cultivation during the integration stage, they cannot undergo the star-shattering advancement all in one go. From the star-shattering stage onward, if one wants to cultivate Heaven and Earth dual cultivation, they must perform the absurd advancement ritual one more time. In the state where they've already formed a star, they must explode the star once again to comprehend attraction force through the insane process. Otherwise, Heaven and Earth dual cultivation at the star-shattering stage is impossible. Yet, for some reason, Seo Eunhyun is wearing the ring, the proof of a Heaven and Earth dual cultivation practitioner. Child, what kind of sorcery have you used? Reveal the truth before this chief judge. I failed. I failed. I failed, and failed, and failed again. I exploded myself in front of Blood Een dozens, hundreds of times. And, through that process, I delved deeper and deeper into the nature of attraction force. In a state where my star was complete, I repeatedly caused it to explode and continually improved. And after enduring the strikes of a true immortal hundreds of times with my body, I came to understand true immortals even more. A true immortal is a world itself. Not a fake world like the small worlds formed in the integration stage or the satellites made in the star-shattering stage, but a true world itself. This is what a true immortal is. In the body of a true immortal, real living beings can grow, possessing true birth, aging, sickness, and death, with cultivators who advance toward immortal cultivation emerging from within. They are no different from gods, Sun, who dominate from above, regulating the fates of all phenomena under the heavens like invincible rulers. After enduring the power of a world hundreds of times, I finally found a way to counter the world. A mere mortal cannot withstand a world's power. Therefore, one must borrow it. If I cannot defeat the world with my own hands, I, too, must borrow the world's power. Wu Wong. Once again, I soar towards the heavenly tribulation that Hong Fan shot at me. And I see it. Blood Yin's attraction force, moving in the plane of fate. I too must soar into the plane of fate, if only for an instant. Pot. In an instant, the star I created shrinks and enters my body. How many times have I created a star, self-destructed, and regressed? At some point, a ring had appeared around me. This ring is drawing in the surrounding power. Much like the heavenly circle formed during the heavenly being stage that draws in heaven and earth's spiritual energy, the power of the ring seems to draw in the power of the world itself. Blood Een attempts to strike Hong Fan. I push my main body, which is now encircled by the ring, inside my incarnation and transform into human form, charging towards Blood Yin's single strike. The colorless glass sword is grasped in my hand. Though brief, in this short period, I regressed hundreds of times, and the colorless glass sword, which had been overlapped hundreds of times, evolved into a Dharma treasure at the star-shattering level. Holding the now more fearsome colorless glass sword, my eyes gleam as I begin to draw a circle. Blood Yin's attack seems about to strike Hong Fan at any moment, but I pay it no mind and continue drawing a circle with my sword on the spot. Keying. This is the Subheart sword, transcending mountain ridge embedment. Simultaneously, it is also accumulating dust forms a mountain. Within the hazy mist, a colorless circle is being drawn. Just as Kim Yun's paired wing dance had, for a brief moment, reached the realm of true infinity due to the puppets of the wonderfully mysterious fortress. Each time my sword draws a circle, my consciousness accelerates more and more. Boom, 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 boom. Kiang. At first, the rotation seems a bit slow, but before I know it, I feel like I've entered a realm where the world has come to a halt. Up to this point, this is a state that can be reached with normal mental acceleration. I accelerate further. My sword moves faster. More. Keying. More. Keying. More. Pity it. At some moment, I feel as if the world has completely stopped. I feel as if I have become light itself. No, perhaps I might even be faster than that. In this frozen world, I look up at the plane of fate. Even now, Blood Een is still moving within this frozen world. And they're moving so naturally. Blood Een meets my gaze. How astonishing. To reach this realm with the body of a mortal. Their eyes gleam. I see. Do you possess all 5 senses? 5 senses. What does that mean? I was wondering how a mere mortal could push his mind into the realm of the immortal family, but for you to use such a method. Astonishing, truly astonishing. I don't understand what they're saying, but one thing is clear. At this moment, my mind has, even if only briefly, risen to a level equal to those beings called true immortals. By endlessly drawing circles and accelerating my mind, I have reached this realm. Blood Een seems to grasp my intention and mocks me. Are you perhaps struggling to block my strike? I can't answer. To remain in this realm, even temporarily, I must desperately keep drawing the circle. It's useless. Do you think raising your mind to our level will solve anything? Ha ha ha. Then, the next moment, Blood Yin's attack strikes me, standing in front of Hong Fan. I must maintain the circle. A red wave from the plane of fate engulfs me. I grit my teeth as I feel my entire body evaporating under the overwhelming force. No. Endure. Continue maintaining the circle. If I do, I can succeed. If I keep maintaining it, the move of Sumeru. But in the end, I fail to maintain my balance before this immense force. Half my body, including my main body, is flung away, breaking my balance, and the circle I was drawing shatters. At the same time, my mind returns to the realm of mortal beings. Damn it. As I feel my consciousness fading, I stretch out my hand toward Hong Fan and John Myung-hoon. My attraction force surges toward them, pushing them far away. The next moment, an immense star tribulation swallows me, and I lose consciousness. That is my 986th return. 986th cycle. Once again, I unleash the move of Sumeru and charge at Blood Een. Blood Een repeats the same situation as before. Everything is the same, but one thing is different. Kugugugugugu. Blood Yin's power of immense force becomes a wave that engulfs me. But I do not stop drawing the circle. Even as half of my body is destroyed, even as my main body is shattered, I don't stop. In the final moment, pot. At the end of drawing, and drawing the circle again, I finally feel my power reach a certain realm. The circle I have been drawing now surrounds me like a ring of light. I feel the endlessly drawn circle solidify, and I compress it. The compressed circle enters my body. At the center of my shattered star body. At the very core, the circle I had been drawing becomes a single point. I let out a bitter smile. Is this the limit? Geum. The moment right after I complete the point, I am hit and killed by Blood Yin's single strike. Before my star is completely destroyed, I must complete this point. But it's too late. It's fine though. Next time, I will make sure I succeed. That is my 987th return. 987th cycle. Pot. I draw the circle, push my mind into the realm of true immortals, and successfully compress the circle into a point. Now it really begins. Fortunately, I completed the point before my body was completely destroyed. What remains is to split the point. The formula for creating the gang sphere. Using that formula, I duplicate the point into 3. With this, pot. 3 points split again into 9. Then, the 9 points split into 27, and the 27 into 81. With each split, the speed of the process grows faster. But the next moment, Wadok. I die again. Faster. 988th cycle. The points created through rotation could be counted in the hundreds. But once again, I failed to reach the target. More. 989th cycle. 990th cycle. 991st cycle. At some point, I started to feel as though this circle I am madly drawing is being internalized within my mind. Finally, I understand. This act of drawing a circle has, at some point, become completely one with me, just like the subheart sword's transcending mountain ridge embedment. Flash. The moment I realize this, I draw a circle at the start of the cycle and immediately condense it into a point. Pat it. Then, the point generated within my body instantly splits into dozens, hundreds, and begins to scatter in all directions. Soon after, I realize that 3,000 lights have appeared around me. Now it's enough. What petty trick is this? I can sense Blood Een mocking me. Silently, I raise my sword. In the next moment, the original point inside me emits light. Simultaneously, the light erupting from the original point begins to connect with the other 3,000 points. It looks like a constellation formed of 3,000 stars. Oh, is that what it is? As expected of a true immortal. Despite being rotten, Blood Een quickly realizes what I am trying to do. The constellation that starts from me continues to spread out. Even though the points have all disappeared, the lines of the constellation reach the far side of the interdimensional void. They connect to the vestiges there. Chijijik. The constellation continues to connect. Once the constellation connects with one vestige, it extends further, linking with more and more vestiges. In an instant, the entire interdimensional void begins to shine because of the constellation connected to me. You momentarily push your mind into the immortal domain, Feng. Replicate that mind, and connect those replicated minds to the vestiges. Do you intend to grant those vestiges the mind of an immortal being? You intend to flail about before me with that? Even if you temporarily grant the mind of an immortal to those waste materials, what do you think will change? They chuckle, seemingly amused. You're better than most quasi-immortals. It's not a true immortal art, but it can be considered a sub-immortal art. Wrong. I speak as I look up at Bloodine. I didn't connect the minds to the vestiges. I can sense Bloodine flinch in surprise as they look down at me. Speaking in the domain of true immortals consumes an immense amount of mental power, so without saying more, I continue to activate the move of Sumeru. The lines of the constellation created from Sumeru finally extend beyond the interdimensional void and reach the astral realm. The vestiges are merely a medium. What I truly aim to reach is the universe itself. Through the constellations, I connect directly to the universe and feel a sudden tremor in my being for an instant. This is the universe. It is so grand that even trying to express it in words feels blasphemous. An infinite space of a divine level. That is what the astral realm, the universe, truly is. Why? Starting from transcending peaks, I begin to unfold every move in severing mountain swordsmanship up to transcending mountain ridge embedment. My severing mountain swordsmanship had already begun to merge into one when I created accumulating dust forms a mountain. But today, I have made up my mind to meld severing mountain swordsmanship even further. Moves connect to moves. Simultaneously, the star ring within my body rotates fiercely, starting to absorb the world itself. The moves connecting to moves of severing mountain swordsmanship draw a circle, and as the circle overlaps with the star ring within me, it happens. Twack. At last, through the constellation connected to the entire universe, the power of the entire world begins to be drawn into me. It's as if the universe itself is being sucked into my sword form. Bloodine had said this. How dare someone reach their level of power through a mere mortal's mind? They are right. Even if I momentarily connect my mind to the domain that transcends all speed and space-time, they are beings who exist so comfortably in this realm. I, alone, cannot defeat them. That's why I won't rely on just my mind. I connected the vestiges to me. Then, I connected to the worlds inside those vestiges and imbued my mind into them. Using those vestiges as mediums, I imbued my mind into the universe. The dust in the far reaches of the universe. The starlight, the cold, the heat, the workings of heaven and earth's spiritual energy. In this brief moment, my mind, which has reached the immortal realm, is briefly embedded in them all. Of course, I'm not truly borrowing the power of the entire universe. But I earnestly pray to this whole world as I swing my sword. Please, lend me your power. After countless rotations, I thrust my sword towards Blood Yin's single strike. The power of the entire world stretches out to meet the force of another world that is charging at me. The next moment, I explode along with the red wave rushing towards me. Finally, on the 991st cycle, I successfully achieve mutual destruction with a true immortal's single strike. That is my 992nd return. 992nd cycle. Once more, mutual destruction is not enough. I must block this single strike, survive, and... After blocking the heavenly tribulation that Hong Fan and John Myung-hoon gathered for me, after fully entering the star-shattering stage, until I can completely defy Bloodine, continue to advance this sword. I perform a sword dance. It is a sword dance composed of endless circles. I draw a circle, create a point, and scatter that point to form a constellation. After borrowing the power of the universe through that constellation, I perform a sword dance that integrates the entirety of the Severing Mountain swordsmanship and unleash the final strike. That is, Severing Mountain swordsmanship. 33rd move. Sumeru Shimi. Jong. Once again, my sword shatters. This time, however, there is no mutual destruction. The sword merely crumbles to pieces, and all the energy in my body is drained. Haha. I laugh as I watch the star tribulation descending upon me. Now, I am almost there. That is my 993rd return. 993rd cycle. I perform a sword dance and thrust my sword forward. Puwak. The red wave descending from the plane of fate splits in half. At first, I couldn't even perceive it, but now I can see. The process of the red torrent, bursting from Blood Yin's body like a sea of blood, surging towards Hong Fan, is now vividly clear to me. The sword didn't shatter. I smile slightly. I take another step forward. Though I used up all my energy, I managed to block Blood Yin's single strike without shattering the sword. Kururum. Once again, I close my eyes as I take the star tribulation head on. That is my 994th return. 994th cycle. 995th cycle. 996th cycle. 997th cycle. Ah. Suddenly, I realize that I've entered a kind of trance. Jing. The red torrent flies towards Hong Fan in front of me. It's a torrent descending from the plane of fate. It's too weak to be considered a true immortal art, and it's merely an attack sent by Blood Een in a jest. But even so, it's the strike of a true immortal. After several deaths, I now feel certain that I can split that attack without breaking my sword, and without exhausting all my energy. Only then do I fully realize I've finally reached great completion in a new technique. Just learning a technique doesn't mean one can use it perfectly. Even the creator of the technique must practice it, refine it, and find ways to improve it until they internalize the optimal form that suits them best. Only by reaching that stage can one truly say they have reached great completion in it. Why? At the same time, I experience something strange. Everything in the world appears as a sword. Blood Een is a sword. Every vestige in the interdimensional void is a sword. Every star tribulation flashing in the universe is a sword. Every starlight casting down star tribulation is also a sword. I discover a new facet of the technique I've just created. The 33rd move of Severing Mountain swordsmanship is not only a sword dance that borrows the power of the world, but also a spell that draws power from the world, like Great Desert to Dead Sea. And the phrase, borrows power from the world implies, if there's an entity that is akin to a world itself, they can lend me their power through the sword dance I perform. Divine Descent, Jangsun. I can sense a divine being descending within my sword dance. Do you seek the Tao through the sword? For some reason, I find myself answering the divine being's question as if entranced. Yes, I do. You have reached the Tao-seeking, Chudal, realm of the sword. As you have caught this seat's eye, there exists the intent to make you a devotee. Yet, to offer assistance is a different matter. Should you desire my aid, you must prove your skills. Combine sword and immortal as one and reveal your mastery. I understand what it means. Until now, I've only wielded the sword from the perspective of martial arts. And this unknown true immortal is telling me to merge swordsmanship from both the perspective of martial arts and the perspective of spells. I unfold my sword dance within the radiance. It feels as if someone is helping me from the side. My swordsmanship, spells, divine powers, and attraction force all combine so naturally. I hear what seems to be a satisfied laugh in my ear. This someone who is helping me is admiring my swordsmanship. Hearing that laughter, my mind wavers, and I feel a deep urge to submit to that someone right then and there. Instinctively, I can sense it. This being has reached the utmost pinnacle of the sword. Although not of the heart tribe, it feels like this being is akin to a god as a sword cultivator like Hong Surayong. I want to return to thee. How wonderful would it be to return to this being and become their sword? The exhausting life of a mortal with flesh and blood tires me. I want to live as nothing more than a sword, as iron. Yes, I will return. How dare you? Blood Yin's enraged voice snaps me back to my senses. Once again, you summon a wicked thing. Sinister beings, I beseech you to leave the sun and moon heavenly domain. The next moment, under the power of Blood Yin's immortal art, activated with their full effort, my body is crushed and I die. That is my 998th return. Is it already the 998th cycle? It's been long. So incredibly, endlessly long. In the last cycle, I was entranced by someone and nearly returned to them, but this time is different. With just my pure strength alone, I can block up to Blood Yin's general single strike. Once again, I slip into a trance, but this time, I do not lose my mind. Rather, I perform the sword dance with just my mind. As a world nests in my sword, a burst of radiance explodes outward. Simultaneously, I once again see the vision where the entire world appears as swords. Once more, someone tempts me with their voice. You, Tao Seeker of the Sword, follow this seat. Then you shall see the ultimate truth of the sword. I refuse. No thank you. What did you say? I will see the ultimate truth of the sword with my own hands. Sasaya, a brilliant white radiance erupts from within the sword dance. Within that radiance, I push back the mind of the being speaking to me and shout. What meaning is there in attaining the ultimate truth of the sword by borrowing another's hands? I have failed, and failed again. This is my sword, built upon the mountain of failure. My sword is mine. The ultimate truth of the sword I seek is also mine alone. I appreciate your goodwill, but I will achieve it with my own hands. As I shake off the will of the transcendent being that descended into the sword dance, I thrust my sword towards the single strike of Blood Een. Severing Mountain swordsmanship. 33rd move. Sumaru. The sword dance that borrows the power of the world flies towards the single strike unleashed by another world. At last, in the 998th cycle, for the first time, I have perfectly blocked Blood Yin's strike. Hong Fan. I shout in mental speech to Hong Fan. As Hong Fan's entering heavens bursts forth, Memories of the 16th cycle flash by. What will you name your entering heavens beyond the path? I haven't thought of a good name, but does a name really matter? I'll just call it whatever comes to mind. What are you saying? Only by having a name will it make it more satisfying when you use it, no? If you can't come up with one, how about I name it for you? Do as master pleases. Alright, do you have something you strive for? Some meaning you'd like to have in the name? Nothing specific comes to mind, but if we must name it, please include the word sword. Sword? Yes. Since Master's entering heavens is the formless sword, and since I'm receiving it from Master, I'd like it to have sword in it. Got it. In that case, a black darkness is caught in Hong Fan's hand. The darkness expands, becoming a massive maw that devours the light. Let's go with the sword that cuts through the void, Shi Kung, of nothingness. In the 16th cycle, I had given his entering heavens a name like that, because Hong Fan's sword, which united countless martial flows, was extraordinary enough to cut even the completely nothing and void sky. If you don't like it, or if you come up with a better name later, feel free to change it. If another name comes to mind, you can use that instead. No, I quite like it. The Sword of the Void. If I come up with a name I like more, I will return this name to Master. Of course, Hong Fan. The name of your entering heavens will henceforth be. I burst out in mental speech, and Hong Fan swings the Sword of the Void towards the falling star tribulation. If I can't think of a better name until the end, I will continue to use this name even in the next life. Void Sword. Entering heavens beyond the path. Void Sword Xiu Kong Jian. Hong Fan's sword extends towards the sky, connecting with the heavenly tribulation, and John Myung-hoon's authority activates, drawing in millions of heavenly tribulations. As John Myung-hoon's power merges with Hong Fan's, their combined strength multiplies. In an instant, hundreds of billions, trillions of star tribulations converge. And I, once again, begin to descend, Jangsen divine descent, the power of the universe through the sword dance of Sumeru. The first star tribulation is unavoidable. However, the unavoidable heavenly tribulation can definitely be blocked. The Sumeru sword dance, which can even cleave the single strike of a true immortal in half, cuts through the first star tribulation formed by the union of billions of star tribulations. My single sword strike pierces through the star tribulation, breaks through the boundary between the interdimensional void and the astral realm, and enters the domain of the universe. I close my eyes. Within the almost 1,000 cycles of regression, I can finally give a genuine smile that I couldn't do before. Woo-woo. The shattered star tribulation above me begins to flow directly into my body. At the same time, I feel myself truly connected with the stars that had just launched the star tribulations at me. I know what this is. It is a star vein. Through the star tribulation, I have become connected to the stars, and by receiving a star vein, I am being officially recognized as a true star by the universe itself. That is the true nature of the star tribulation. Through the star vein, the power of all the stars in the universe flows into me. My consciousness domain expands like crazy. I feel like I could explore the entire Heaven Tribe territory with just my consciousness domain alone if I willed it. I feel the power of the stars as I draw forth attraction force, quickly bringing my comrades into the star within my body. After quickly retrieving the exhausted Hong Fan and John Myung-hoon, I take a single step forward. The surroundings shift instantly. This is the astral realm, the sea of stars, also known as the universe, the domain of infinity. At last, I have truly become an esteemed one. The realm where I can, through the ground shrinking technique, move through space as if it were a dimensional leap. The realm where I can cross from the interdimensional void directly into the astral realm without any help from the middle realms. That is the star shattering stage. Jung. It feels like a corner of the universe is collapsing. In the distance, a part of the universe crumbles with an immense ripple. From there, a red sea begins to stretch its hand towards me. You? I grin. This is just the beginning. Feeling the endless power of the star vein flowing into me, I take another step forward. Blood Yin's figure quickly recedes into the distance. Feeling the power of having truly reached the star-shattering stage, I leap across tens of light years and escape. Kugagugagu. However, I see that what appears to be Blood Yin's hand continuing to chase after me, undeterred. Now that I've completely reached the star-shattering stage, I'll retain this realm even if I regress. Since I've solidified my realm after withstanding the heavenly tribulation, it won't only be the nebula that follows me. Now, I just need to find something in this astral realm that can defy the fate Blood Yin has prophesied. And I've already decided on a candidate. However, just then, while leaping through the astral realm, I am forced to stop in one sector. Roughly 50 starlights are blocking my path. They aren't the main bodies, just incarnations. Even so, each one feels like they are at the sacred vessel stage. I immediately know who they are. We shot star tribulations to kill you. But what kind of being are you? Absorbing it all and advancing instead. The 50 entering nirvana beings I clashed with in the nether ghost realm. They are the ones blocking my path. Kugugugugu. Behind me, Blood Yin's arm continues to follow, while in front of me, the 50 incarnations of the entering nirvana true persons block my way. A situation of being trapped from both sides. Can I use the Sumeru sword dance one more time? I am quite lacking in energy, not knowing whether I may be a true immortal's clone, incarnation, or immortal treasure. Do you dare block my path? I decide to bluff, but the 50 entering nirvana true persons laugh mockingly. The former chief judge of the netherworld guaranteed that you are nothing of the sort. We will kill you here, you insignificant thing. Damn it, there's no other choice. My entire body trembles as if it's about to fall apart, and I have almost no strength left. But it seems my fortune is to keep swinging my sword until the very end of ends. I prepare my Sumeru sword dance, raising my sword will. It's then, will you truly not return to this seat? Someone speaks to me again from within the Sumeru sword dance. I don't need it. Is that so? But this seat is beginning to covet you. Will you not become this seat's immortal treasure? I said I don't need it. It cannot be helped. Then this seat shall make a grand gesture. Huh. Woo-woo. From beyond the farthest starry sky, I sense that something is heading to this place. That's, through the Sumeru sword dance I've unfolded, someone is descending and calling their power here. That's, why is that falling here? You? Were you their devotee all along? Everyone flee. Flee as far as possible. It is a sword. A massive sword of radiant silver light is descending through the universe towards this place. I feel Blood Yin's arm flinch in shock and retreat. The size of the sword of light is so immense that even the sun looks like a firefly in comparison. And the moment the sword falls into this space, sword-guided star Rai, ding, the entire sun and moon heavenly domain trembles. As the sword of light shatters, all 50 incarnations sent by the entering nirvana true persons are obliterated. I can feel that even their main bodies beyond the incarnations have suffered tremendous damage. However, more than anything, I can feel that Blood Yin has been struck with a catastrophic blow and has been thrown down. A corner of the universe collapses under the impact of the sword of light. I ask this someone who has shown me such overwhelming goodwill. Who are you? This someone responds. I can't help but be shocked by their answer. This seat is the 5th of the Radiance 8 Immortals. Sword Spear Heavenly Lord. You, Tao Seeker of the Sword. One day, you shall become this seat's immortal treasure. Chapter 472, 998 Cycles, First Day. Sururuk. The Sumeru sword dance comes to an end. Simultaneously, the will embedded in the sword dance by the sword spear, Heavenly Lord, fades away. Someday, you will be mine. I swallow as I listen to the words of the sword spear, Heavenly Lord. I've garnered the attention of true immortals once or twice before. The oldest one had even pursued me during regression, and the owner of Great Mountain had descended to kill me. Furthermore, although I don't remember it well, there was a time I met a being known as an immortal beast, and in the darkness of the Serving Command Arc, I also encountered someone. In addition, I also met with the owner of Heavenly Punishment, the Heavenly Venerable of Time, Zhongli, and Yang Sung. It's not just once or twice. Anyway, I have received their interest and anger before. However, I had never encountered a being who coveted me like the sword spear Heavenly Lord. To think a true immortal, and one speculated to be from a faction of light, desires me. It is nothing short of a terrifyingly misfortune that sends chills down one's spine. I look back. Kugugugugu. It seems as if a massive crack has formed in the universe. It looks as if a huge stone had fallen on a glass window, punching a hole through it. This is crazy. Despite the universe's restorative power refilling the space, I shiver remembering the incredible power unleashed by the sword spear, Heavenly Lord. Wait, by the way, I recall something as I look at the hole pierced in the universe. There is silence beyond the hole. No reaction has come after the scream of the Blood Yin. My eyes tremble as I look at the hole. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Huh. I laugh. Then, quietly smiling, I feel the utmost joy within the life and death that had nearly repeated 1,000 cycles and spread my arms wide. I am free. At last, I have escaped. I am free. There is no sound in space. The vast starry sky and the darkness stretch endlessly. I start to laugh in that starry heaven. Ha ha. As I laugh, heaven and earth's spiritual energy bursts forth around me, beginning to surge. Ah ha ha. Ha ha ha. A roar of laughter bursts forth from my mental speech. I have, finally, escaped. I feel the aura of Blood Yin subside completely, and I cry while laughing. Kurung, kurung. Finally, Jiung. My incarnation explodes, and my main body inside is revealed. The compressed main body appears in the cosmic space. The main bodies of esteemed ones, known as the origin star, Unxing. Origin star, colorless, sword mountain treading sea great star. My integrated Tao domain has become a star in space, emitting starlight. A star made entirely of crystal glass from the surface to the core. The star filled with the sword mountain with inverted swords scattered everywhere has become both my world and myself. Kagugugu. At the same time, I feel an immense surge of spiritual energy rushing into the origin star through the star vein. At first, it seems that heaven and earth's spiritual energy is simply filling the various places within the origin star. However, soon after the heaven and earth's spiritual energy fills up, the star starts to move as spirit veins begin to enter inside my star. The spirit veins fill various places in the colorless sword mountain like blood vessels. Simultaneously, heaven and earth's spiritual energy begins to circulate within the star. Heaven and earth's spiritual energy circulates throughout the planet, beginning to create celestial phenomena. Inside the star, it even rains, and brilliant glows gather to form something akin to spirits. At the same time, explosions of heaven and earth's spiritual energy occur within, materials combine, and lifelike entities begin to emerge. They are just microbes for now, merely akin to bacteria, but perhaps in a few 100 million years, fully sentient beings might be born. Just then, I notice that the circulation of heaven and earth's spiritual energies inside my star is reaching a critical point. Kugugugugu. Simultaneously, heaven and earth's spiritual energy starts to be produced in accordance with the principles of nature. A star that used to only suck in spiritual energy through other stars' star veins can now transmit heaven and earth's spiritual energy towards other stars. It is only now that I feel truly connected with the star vein. I see. From chi refining to the integration stage, one only consumes heaven and earth's spiritual energy. Most cultivators spend their lives sucking in the heaven and earth spiritual energy around them, confining it within their bodies, and use it for spells, endlessly consuming resources. Even reaching the 4-axis and integration stage, only the amount of heaven and earth spiritual energy one can consume and confine increases, merely extending the retention period. The truth of consumption does not disappear. However, it changes after reaching the star-shattering stage. From this point on, true nature forms inside one's body. And according to the circulation within that nature, heaven and earth spiritual energy is produced. The entering nirvana stage creates stars, the sacred vessel stage organizes constellations, and the star-shattering stage produces the materials that can create stars. I recall the dawn of the universe and comprehend the star-shattering stage. The star-shattering stage involves circulating heaven and earth spiritual energy within one's own star, being in the position of a producer who can create materials, or in other words, produce heaven and earth spiritual energy. The rank of a producer in the universe's hierarchy. That is precisely the star-shattering stage. Wawum. I produce heaven and earth spiritual energy, and further precisely imprint my star's attraction force into the universe. Wawum. Communing with the vast space-time that is the universe, I imprint the principles of my first star through attraction force. The formulas of the star-shattering stage are, as obvious as it is, the formulas of the examination of doubts. Rain, clearing, cloudiness, want of connection, crossing. An inner diagram, outer diagram. Shua. On the newly created first star, rain begins to fall. The rain turns into crystal as soon as it touches the ground, becoming the foundation of my star. Thus, my first star becomes a star symbolizing the early star-shattering stage. Heavenly rain, great star. From now on, I should cultivate according to the practice of the star-shattering stage. The practice of the star-shattering stage is simple yet immense. The cultivation of esteemed ones is as follows. Above the star one has created, create an incarnation using the elements, chemical elements, of one's own star. Then, have that incarnation mobilize the power of the star to again rise to the grand perfection integration stage. After that, explode the incarnation again to create a second star. Thus, after creating a total of 5 stars and imprinting the principles of rain, clearing, cloudiness, want of connection, and crossing onto them, take the 5 satellites and drag them around to orbit a suitable planet. Endlessly orbit the planet until one's satellites align in a row around the planet. Then borrow the planet's power to complete the inner diagram. Once the inner diagram is complete, rotate around the planet and draw in star veins and heaven and earth spiritual energy from the universe to complete the outer diagram. Reaching the grand perfection star-shattering stage through a total of 7 star body rituals is precisely the cultivation method of the star-shattering stage. From the star-shattering stage onwards, one's lifespan increases by tens of millions of years. Of course, that doesn't mean the star created will explode or scatter after 10 million years. Instead, if one cannot advance one's realm even after 10 million years, their soul will scatter throughout the universe and die, and only the satellites left by the esteemed one will remain drifting in space. Esteemed ones often describe this phenomenon as being devoured by the heavenly domain. I manifest as a human form incarnation within my body and look up at the sky. The star is still without a proper atmosphere, and the entire world is composed of jagged seas of glass. Microbes exist to some extent, but that's it. No traces of sentient beings are visible. I breathe above the star and feel the heaven and earth spiritual energy. Typical esteemed ones have stars the size of satellites and don't have many connected star veins. Therefore, the stars of typical esteemed ones don't have much heaven and earth spiritual energy, and those esteemed ones usually continue cultivating in the middle realms with the help of sacred masters to grow their incarnations using the heaven and earth spiritual energy of the middle realm. However, I realize that I don't need to do that. With so many star veins connected, and the planet itself being of a planetary scale, it is only slightly lacking in heaven and earth spiritual energy compared to the middle realms. At this level, I can quickly advance my realm without the help of a sacred master. Moreover, having already trained in the immortal art examination of doubts, and with the effects of understanding before breakthrough in place, I can cultivate far faster than other esteemed ones. Of course, since the sun and moon heavenly domain will meet its end in 10,000 years, it's meaningless. I organize various thoughts while moving forward. Zurich. I suddenly disappear from above the star and arrive in front of a cave made of glass. Since the star is my own body, I can immediately go with my incarnation to any place I can think of on the star. Is everyone safe? I face my comrades who I had hidden within my star. In terms of time, it has been only a brief moment since we last saw each other, but it feels like it has been a very long time. Eun-hyun, what's going on? After regaining awareness in that strange world, we suddenly ended up in this bizarre place. And the condition of these guys is a bit strange. Kim Young-hoon looks at me worriedly, and I look at my comrades. Hong Fan and John Myung-hoon are in an exhausted state. Kim Yun is blinking at me, and Oh Hyun-suk is slightly teary-eyed, though he's smiling. John Myung-hoon and Hong Fan are fine other than being exhausted. As for Hyun-suk Hyungnim, I cried a bit having to part with my daughter for a while. It seems he accepted the child from the dream world as his own daughter. I give him a faint smile. It appears that he, too, has finally accepted his own heart. I then turn to Kim Yun and speak. Yuna, are you alright? She just blinks. Yun. She repeatedly opens and closes her mouth, then points at it. Kim Young-hoon lets out a sigh then speaks. I don't know what happened, but it seems she lost her voice. What? I'm shocked and immediately send her a heart message. Kim Yun, what on earth happened? Then, the heart message doesn't return. Kim Yun. I approach her, flustered, and Kim Yun gestures awkwardly at above. Could it be the beings above are involved? Nod. Kim Yun nods, and I let out a low groan and ask, do you know how to use sign language by any chance? Kim Yun shrugs. It seems she doesn't know sign language. Come to think of it, none of us had ever learned sign language in the first place. Does anyone have paper? Here. Oh Hyun-suk pulls out paper from his domain, and I place a brush in front of her to let her write. Kim Yun looks a little perplexed, but then picks up the brush and writes something. I look at it and frown. What's this? What she wrote aren't any letters we recognize, but are strange scribbles. It looks like the kind of messy scribble a 3-year-old would make while haphazardly holding a brush. However, Kim Yun looks at me with a gaze asking, can you understand it? It seems that, from her perspective, she's writing letters, but what's being expressed is entirely different. Then, can you draw something like a picture? Kim Yun draws a picture on the paper. Fortunately, the picture turns out quite normal. In the picture, Kim Yun is talking to something that resembles a large bird, and in the next scene, the bird pulls out Kim Yun's tongue. I see. Understood. It seems Kim Yun has had her word spirit sealed by some true immortal. We're getting involved with true immortals quite often. I sigh deeply and see Co Ran clutching his head past Kim Yun. Co Ran is gripping his head and trembling, while Shurho stands beside him, supporting him with a concerned look. Co Ran. What's going on with you? He speaks with a trembling voice. I don't know either. But for some reason, a woman keeps coming to mind. It's fine. Woo-woo. I synchronize Co Ran's consciousness with the heaven and earth spiritual energy around him, stabilizing the energy itself and forcibly calming his mind for a moment. The others seem startled as they realize what I've done. I speak to my comrades. There's something I need to tell you all. I just recently, upon leaving that dream world, advanced to the star-shattering stage. As expected. Azure Tiger Saint nods as if expecting this, and the other comrades flinch in surprise. I explain the current situation and the place we're in to them. So, The star we suddenly fell onto is your body? That's right. Wow, that's quite something. Kim Young-hoon sticks out his tongue, and Oh Hyun-suk and Seo Ran both have very astonished looks in their eyes. I organize and clarify the current situation, and as I do, one thought crosses my mind. By the way, this situation, it feels strangely similar to the first day. You're right, it does. I look at the sky outside the cave. Since the atmosphere hasn't yet fully formed, the night sky of the universe is fully visible. The us, sharing conversation inside a cave. The mysterious world we've suddenly fallen into. It's just like the scene of our first day falling into this world. Ah, that's right. A lot has happened, but when I think about it, today is the first day of the 998th cycle. It hasn't even been a full day since the regression. Snap. To recreate the feeling of the first day we fell onto Ascension Path, I snap my fingers and start a fire. A flame emitting 7 colors arises inside the glass cave. Going forward, we will save Kong Min-hee. I continue to speak. I am not sure if you know this, but the universe we live in, the sun and moon heavenly domain, will be destroyed in 10,000 years. For us cultivators, 10,000 years is not a very long time. Therefore, I plan to find Kong Min-hee and together with her, either escape to another heavenly domain or find a way to survive even within the end. Explaining the plans from now, I look up at the starry sky. I have escaped from Bloodine for now. I managed to escape the fate they imposed on me somehow, thanks to the sword spear Heavenly Lord. Of course, I don't know what will happen if I regress again. Perhaps in the next life, I might not receive the help of the sword spear Heavenly Lord. No, it's better not to receive help if possible. Honestly, receiving help from that being this time was like escaping the fox only to meet the tiger. In the next life, it would be better not to receive any help at all. Of course, not receiving help would make it ever so hard to escape from the grasp of Bloodine. Therefore, the number one goal of this life is not to die. I set a few goals for this life. The first goal is simply survival. The second goal is searching for and rescuing Kong Min-hee. The third goal, since the end is imminent, is to head to the Lightning Sacred Sea and retrieve the treasures Yang Sujin stole from the Middle Realms. It's around when I set about 3 goals. Sway. I fall right there on the spot. Eun-hyun. Say, senior. Kim Young-hoon, Kim Yun, and Seo Ran rushed to one after another. Wondering if something has gone wrong with my incarnation, I try to shift my consciousness back to the star side, but I soon realize that there is a serious problem. Splish, splash. Something like black water begins flowing from my incarnation. This is. Realizing the nature of this fluid, I am extremely shocked. Death. It is death energy, say, that has not only concentrated but has completely liquefied. I have thought about this before. If I die hundreds of times like this, might I not suddenly be dragged to the underworld and be taxidermized for eternity? But up until now, since there had been no response from the underworld through the senses of nether perception, I thought it's still okay. I realize it was a misconception. I am being dragged. I sense that my mind is being forcibly pulled towards an endless ashen world. No. How can this be? I just escaped from the jaws of Bloodine. Why? I want to scream, but the power of death covers my mind and begins to submerge it. I can't even move my body, let alone twitch a finger. No. Please. As my consciousness fades, I see in that vast darkness, deep and immense beings gesturing towards me. No. The next moment, Hong Fan, who regained consciousness, yells something at Seo Ran, and C Ran pulling out the nether crossing ship is the last. I completely lose consciousness. Where is this? It is ashen. Yet, at the same time, it is not ashen. I suddenly become curious and look around. Is this a palace? The surroundings are that of a palace. Pillars that look like they are made of the same material as the nether crossing ship support the Black Palace, and I am sitting atop something that looks like an ashen carpet. Then, I am puzzled to see Seo Ran behind me. For some reason, Seo Ran is also sitting behind me, trembling like a quivering aspen tree and looking at something in total disbelief. That's when it happens. That child used the nether crossing ship to summon your consciousness here before it completely left the domain of light. I suddenly turn my gaze towards a being sitting on a throne deep within the palace. The being is a woman. Welcome, esteemed one Seo. I thought we would meet, but I didn't expect it to be so soon. It's regrettable, yet also fortunate. I feel endless energy emanating from the being in front of me and start sweating coldly. Who is the noble one, and where is this place? She smiles faintly at my question. This is the inner subspace of the Nether Ghost Realm's Sacred Master Hall, and I am the one who has taken the position of Sacred Master of the Nether Ghost Realm, Sacred Master Uo. Snap. She snaps her fingers, and a small table, teacups, and a teapot appear in front of me and Seo Ran. Let's have some tea and share a conversation for a while. O Heavenly King designate. Chapter 473, Her 1. Heavenly King Designate. I recall the words spoken about the Heavenly Kings long ago. Buddhist family, 7 Brilliances King. The concept of Heavenly Kings first emerged from Tae Yoljan's mouth. The great 7 bodhisattvas that exist within the Buddhist family. Each of their names ends with the title Heavenly King, Timwang. Is that what she is referring to? I quickly ponder. Referring to me as a Heavenly King Designate. Can it be considered as a certain point that the Enders, who are called Heavenly Kings, can reach? Even a brief consideration suggests that among the 7 Brilliances Kings, the Tridakna vast cold Heavenly King, who symbolizes unity, is the owner of the bright cold realm. The vast cold Heavenly Lord is the Heavenly King of unity. And from what I've heard from rumors so far, there's a high possibility that vast cold was also an Ender. Thus, her mention of Heavenly King Designate likely refers to another term for Enders. In a way, she is an entity who holds a clue about Enders. I must not be careless. I check my physical condition in case I need to resist UO. My body is gone, and currently, only the soul remains. It seems I was temporarily dropped in front of Sacred Master UO while my soul was being dragged to the netherworld via the nether crossing ship. Thanks to that, I am merely a strong spirit entity, possessing just the consciousness domain of the star shattering stage. It seems I can't draw my main body's power through the All Heavens sword. While checking this space belonging to UO, I click my tongue internally. Even if I try to bring the power of my main body by adjusting the plane, it feels like her space itself is sealed against such actions. I could escape using the realm of void shattering or immortal arts if necessary, but the extent of her power merged with the nether ghost realm is unknown. I cannot act rashly. After reaching void shattering, the reason I bared my fangs at Baekwon was because she had suffered injuries at the hands of Yang Sujin. At the same time, John Myung-hoon was by my side, capable of wielding Yang Sujin's power whenever needed. That's why I felt I could take on Sacred Baekwon in case of an emergency, and was a bit aggressive. But, is she really the same Sacred Master? From UO in front of me, I feel an inexplicable, ominous foreboding with no clear beginning or end. At the same time, I feel a certain sense of déjà vu, but I can't recall what it is. In any case, she's definitely not an entity to be taken lightly. I swallow hard and look at the tea before me. Judging from the faint scent of plums, it seems to be the Nether Ghost Realm's specialty, plum tea. Black plum. It's a seed born in the territory of the Nether Ghost Realm's Black Ghost Valley, and is the most popular plum variety there. If a living person were to consume it, the sourness could cause a heart attack. Gulp. Not bad. After sipping the black plum tea, I alternately look at Sacred Master UO and CO Ran. Thank you for offering such fine tea. It is I who should be thankful for you enjoying this humble tea. Originally, I wanted to personally brew a tastier tea, but under these circumstances, it's a pity. Haha, you are too modest. This tea is already excellent as it is. I am merely thankful for your excessive praise. Since the topic has come up, I would greatly appreciate it if you could help my friend CO Ran also enjoy this splendid tea. As I watch CO Ran trembling like an aspen tree, I speak. I wish you would ease the pressure on my friend a bit. Since he is still at the 4-axis stage, it seems difficult for him to bear the authority of a sacred master. While sipping the black plum tea, I respectfully ask you to lessen the pressure on CO Ran, keeping it within the lines of not upsetting her as much as possible. Then, UO tilts her head with a puzzled expression. You are saying strange things. I haven't done anything to that child. It was that child who brought both the esteemed one and the child's own soul into the inner part of my palace through the power of the nether crossing ship. Meeting you two here was not my plan, and naturally, since it wasn't planned, there was no opportunity for me to play any tricks. I look at CO Ran. Inside this palace, who knows what UO had done, but I can't read intent or heart essence. Then just why is this happening? CO Ran, what's going on? However, CO Ran trembles more like an aspen, seemingly unable to hear me at all. It seems there's an immortal art preventing mental fragmentation. Being too close to such a vast entity seems to have damaged the immortal art. That appears to be the cause. I recall when Guak AM struck CO Ran's stomach and cast an immortal art. Could it be that the immortal art of Great Mountain was protecting his mind, and it cracked when encountering Bloodine? Fortunately, it's an immortal art I know of, so I can mend it. Since meeting like this is also fate, I will mend it for you. Snap. UO flicks her finger, and the attraction force around CO Ran seems to change. Then he immediately regains his senses. Heek, heek. Are you okay, CO Ran? CO Ran trembles like an aspen tree before raising his head to look at UO. After staring at her for a moment, CO Ran bites his lip tightly. Who is this person? This person is the sacred master of the Nether Ghost Realm, known as UO. In addition to that, I am currently the Palace Lord of the Azure Ghost Palace. I ask for your kind consideration, Junior CO. She smiles warmly at CO Ran, looking at his black robe. But the next moment, a completely unexpected word bursts from CO Ran's mouth. Mother? Are you my mother? I feel a shock as if I've been hit on the back of my head, looking back and forth between CO Ran and UO. What? This is, no, wait. Excluding the parts that look like CO Huiol, CO Ran's face seems to resemble UO. Still in utter shock, I alternate my gaze between the two. UO looks at CO Ran with an expression that shows interest and speaks. What exactly is Sir Junior saying? CO Ran replies with a bewildered face. When I reached the nascent soul stage, I also saw the moment I was born. It was too brief to see clearly, but I vividly remember my mother's face. I even asked my master to see a portrait of my mother. My mother's name is UO, a disciple from the Black Ghost Valley. Sacred Master, shares the same name and appearance. He looks up at UO with a stunned expression. Is Sacred Master not my mother? To that, Sacred Master UO makes a thoughtful expression and says, I don't particularly have any children. However, it's possible for UO to have children. Pardon. CO Ran and I stare at her, wondering what absurd thing she is saying. Then, UO suddenly turns her head. He click, crack, crack. CO Ran and I cannot help but be shocked by her actions. She completely twisted her neck, turning her head 180 degrees. But what's even more shocking isn't just that. What is revealed where she has turned her neck is another UO. The face of the other UO appears to be peacefully sleeping with eyes closed. The high ones of the Nether Ghost realm all know this, but the name UO has the meaning of the two of us. I have two faces and also two personalities. We also take turns, with one of us sleeping for several years while the other wakes up and becomes active. Creak. UO turns her head counterclockwise again so that her awake face is facing us. That is why, the personality that is awake now, I have no children. But the other UO who is asleep right now, who knows? TH, is it possible to wake the other one up now? That would be difficult. Having two personalities and alternating between sleep and wake cycles every few years is due to my cultivation method. It's a method of balancing yin and yang with two faces to bring me closer to immortal arts. Waking her up suddenly today would take me further away from immortal arts. That, I understand. CO Ran sighs deeply and lowers his head. Ho ho, someday you will be able to find your real family. Trust me, having two heads, I have double the intuition. Kindly console CO Ran. And while I am wondering why she's boasting about having only two heads, I suddenly realize I only have one head now and feel inferior, casting my eyes down slightly. That's right. Let's ask the other Sacred Master about your mother when she wakes up. Yes. I clear my throat and change the subject, and UO turns her gaze back to me. What is the relationship between the two of you? We are friends. Friends, you say? I hope you get along well. By the way, I have a question. I take a sip of the black plum tea and ask her with a serious expression. What does Heavenly King designate mean? It's so very obvious. It refers to you all. You have a rough idea already, no? Heavenly rejected. Tangier to esteemed one CO. I flinch in shock at her words. CO Ran looks at me, puzzled, not knowing what heavenly rejected means, and I stiffen my face and heighten my tension as I continue with my question. Does heavenly rejected being a heavenly king mean the seven brilliances kings are referring to us seven? Yes. Even the Tridacna vast cold heavenly king, the vast cold heavenly lord, was famous for calling upon the heavens in their distant youth during the Chi refining stages 7 stars ritual. It seems she's indirectly telling me that the vast cold heavenly lord, the seven brilliances kings, are enders. As you well know, the seven brilliances kings are those that embody the hearts of beings. And you all, the seven heavenly rejected, are the candidates who are bound to become such heavenly kings. Therefore, studying the heart is inevitably essential for the seven brilliances kings. Although it has been a short time so far, have you been studying the heart well? Short time. I've only lived about 700 or maybe 800 years, but I don't think it was that short of a time. Ho ho. Time isn't what's important. What matters more is what kind of heart you have experienced during that time. From what I see, esteemed one seems to have studied the heart unexpectedly well. I'm saying this because I can sense the traces of immortal arts. I merely had the fortune to meet a good master and learn well. Yuo's eyes sparkle as she questions me. I'm suddenly curious. I know you've only recently been promoted to esteemed one, but how can I feel the traces of the immortal art examination of doubts? Which master did you meet, and where did you study? I merely met a good master and studied at a good place. Of course, as I am not as exceptional as Sacred Master Yuo, so I dare not raise my head. At my words, Yuo takes a sip of black plum tea and her eyes shine. It seems you have no intention of telling me. This is a bit difficult to say. But, are we not meeting for the first time today? Unless it is a matter of utmost importance, I cannot casually disclose my master's name. Meeting for the first time? Huh. Haha, well good. So you're saying we need to build a closer relationship. She sets down her teacup and speaks. Then let me tell you an interesting story about the heavenly kings I know. How about building a closer relationship while listening to this? What kind of story is it? Churrick. Yuo pours more black plum tea and smiles. Then, I can't help but be startled by the words that come from her mouth. Falling into a strange world, falling in love, inevitably losing that loved one, and through them realizing one's own fate, a story about some moths. I'll tell you the beginning, development, twist, and conclusion. It's obvious. The moth she is talking about refers to us, and I can instantly see something strange in her words. If you think about it, aren't they all similar? Kim Young-hoon, John Myung-hoon, Kang Min-hee, Oh Hyun-suk, Kim Yun. Regarding Oh Hye-seo, I just can't get a good grasp on her as a person. They have all been separated from a loved one. In the case of Kim Young-hoon, it was even his wife. Why are they similar? I feel an eerie sense of déjà vu as I focus on the story emerging from Yuo's mouth. I will begin the story. A very long time ago, there lived a monster called Obsidian. Chapter 474, Her Too. Once upon a time, in the distant past, an entity named Obsidian fell upon this land. This being could not comprehend the thoughts of people. It could not comprehend any taste, nor could it understand any pleasure. It only felt a slight excitement when eating according to physical responses, sleeping when sleepy, and mating when in heat. Nothing else could move Obsidian's heart. At some point, Obsidian felt that it was a being devoid of its own soul. Therefore, it wanted to fill that missing part. And it realized that to fill that missing part, it had no choice but to elevate its own spiritual realm through immortal cultivation. It began to practice immortal cultivation. Obsidian consumed animals. Initially, it ate livestock, but later it ate wild beasts, birds, and fish. Then it devoured people. Then it ate ghosts, and after that, it ate spirits. Having grown stronger by consuming demon spirits, mountains, fields, and seas, Obsidian eventually became a monster capable of devouring the sun, moon, stars, and even light. At that point, Obsidian realized, no matter how strong it became, the missing part inside its heart was not filled. Even at the pinnacle of immortal cultivation, that depleted part could not be filled. Then, Obsidian realized the reason. Before it could supplement the lacking part of its soul through immortal cultivation, its existence had grown too large. It was like regenerating a body without healing its scars. The power it had consumed was so great that it suppressed the heart, making it so it could no longer recover. Therefore, Obsidian made a decision to abandon all its authority and return to the beginning. Thus, Obsidian used the ability it received when it first came to this world. That ability was reincarnation, Haisheng. Without the constraints of the underworld, it could reincarnate at will. That was the authority it brought when it came to this world. Through reincarnation, Obsidian abandoned all its authority and was reborn as a normal human baby. And Obsidian imposed restrictions on itself while reincarnating. It arranged for its future self to suffer. It arranged for its future self to undergo hardships and gain enlightenment on the true heart, gaining ultimate power. Obsidian vowed, I will, for 777 lifetimes, stand only on my hands upside down and chant the mantra symbolizing flawlessness. Thus, it reincarnated. And in the next life, as soon as it was conceived in a woman's body, it crippled its own legs. Born unable to use its legs, it walked on its hands, chanting the flawless mantra, Wu Qia Jingyan, for its entire life. People called Obsidian mad. They also called it a pitiful bastard, insulted it for its ominous muttering, and some even tried to hang it to death. In its first incarnation, Obsidian was stoned to death by people. In the second incarnation, it again stood on its hands and chanted the mantra. 777 lifetimes passed like so. Having spent 777 lifetimes standing on its hands chanting the flawless mantra, Obsidian obtained overwhelming power worthy of being called a divine among divines. There was no being in the entire universe that could oppose Obsidian, and except for the two gods who created the wheel, no one did not tremble before it. TL, the wheel means the wheel on a cart, in other words, the cartwheel. Yet, Obsidian thought, it still had not filled the missing part in its heart. Thus, Obsidian went to the two gods who were not afraid of it, the gods of the wheel and the axis. It asked them just how it could find the missing part of itself. The god of the wheel said this, to commit suicide before them and rest for a long time, to rest for an almost eternal period within their domain and soothe its weary soul. The god of the axis said this, if it brought the most precious and valuable thing in the 3,000 great thousand worlds to them, they would tell it the method. Following the words of the god of the axis, Obsidian searched for the most valuable thing in the world. But even after a long time, It could not understand what the most valuable thing was. Eventually, Obsidian thought, since my body and authority have become the most dreadful weapon in the 3,000 great thousand worlds, I will cut off my body and bring it to them. I will cut off my lower half and bring it to the god of the axis, and then I will walk on my hands upside down again. It reached a single small world and began to carve off its lower body. With a sharp knife, it cut off its lower half, washed it in the river until it was clean, and repeated the process of flaying off its own lower half. Eventually, Obsidian almost completely flayed its lower body. And as Obsidian was flaying the last flesh of its lower half and moaning in pain, it met a girl by the riverbank. The girl gave the suffering Obsidian a remedy and handed it a bowl of milk porridge. Caught off guard, Obsidian inadvertently scooped up the milk porridge and was struck by a lightning-like shock. For the first time in 777 lifetimes, it wept uncontrollably over the taste it experienced, burying its head in the milk porridge. Ravenously licking the milk porridge, Obsidian pleaded with the girl to please just give it one more plate like this milk porridge. The girl gladly gave it a plate, and Obsidian, upon eating that rice porridge, felt satisfaction for the first time and also gratitude. With tears streaming down its face, it decided to repay this grace by following the girl while standing on its hands, blessing her for a lifetime. However, seeing a monster without a lower body following the girl while standing upside down, everyone looked at the girl strangely, and she felt embarrassed. But the kind-hearted girl, despite feeling embarrassed, did not chase Obsidian away. Instead, she brought a baby blanket and carried the upside-down Obsidian on her back. From that day on, Obsidian accompanied the girl. For the first time in a long while, Obsidian, being close to the ground but not standing upside down, could look directly at the world. Accompanying the girl, it experienced anew the countless beauties and precious things of the world. And one morning, waking up while sleeping together with the girl, it finally understood what the most valuable thing in the world, as mentioned by the god of the axis, was. The most valuable thing did not exist, because everything in this world, as long as it has a heart, is too precious to be valued. It realized why the milk porridge the girl gave it on the first day was delicious. It must have been because it was the first pure kindness it had received in this world. Realizing this, it wept. At the same time, it realized it had fallen in love with the girl and, after regrowing its lower body, it shared a bed with her. It finally felt its depleted soul was filled. It had understood the meaning of its existence in this world. After happily hugging his wife, he left briefly for a distant world to gather the remnants he had shed over 777 lifetimes to make her a god. And the very next day, when Obsidian returned with a gift for his wife, he found her dead, bitten by a snake. Snake? I ask you all. Obsidian, who had become a being that could control the heavens and the earth, allowed his wife to be killed by something like a snake. I'm not sure myself. It might be a metaphor for something poisonous, or perhaps a metaphor for some treacherous being among the heavenly kings. I wasn't there, so I don't know exactly. Obsidian had sealed off that entire dimension, preventing beings like me from even coming close. So how could I know the true circumstances of that time? I see. If you're satisfied, let's continue the story. Obsidian wept bitterly over his dead wife. At the same time, he finally understood the identity of what had been missing in his heart. It was desire. TL. More specifically, a very strong and deep desire/craving. To realize desire, he had devoured countless suns, moons, and stars, and inflicted pain on himself over 777 lifetimes. But he finally understood the true meaning of desire. He always knew, before and after reincarnation, that he would not be utterly annihilated, so he had never truly desired for anything wholeheartedly. But now, he started to desire wholeheartedly, for the outside of the 3,000 great thousand worlds. For his homeland. If it was the world of the undyings, his wife would not have died. Having been fundamentally undying since he first fell to this world, Obsidian, who had never known any anxiety or fear, finally understood death painfully. Finally, he made his resolve to burn all of himself, who had never even come close to death, and leave this world. No, leaving was not the end. He decided to bring salvation to the world. To bring salvation to this world and bring it to his homeland, the world of undyings, to free all beings from the terror of death. Obsidian activated an immortal art that would swallow all phenomena. At the same time, he sought out an ominous place during the activation of the immortal art, fell its gatekeeper, and headed beyond. To leave while taking everything from this world. To liberate everyone in this world from fear, anxiety, and the so-called fate. Thus, he disappeared beyond the ominous world. That concludes the tale of Obsidian, also known as the Obsidian Devil Heavenly King, one of the 7 Brilliance's kings. I listened to the story of the Obsidian Devil Heavenly King and let out a sigh. setting aside his terrifying deeds. Do you not know the story beyond this? I do not know either. That person's story ends here. And furthermore, she laughs. The end of the stories for all heavenly kings are very much alike. The same for the vast, cold heavenly lord, and the same for the golden divine. Ultimately, they all return to the most ominous place in the entire 3,000 great thousand worlds, the place that has remained intact since time immemorial, enduring countless ends. They return to the head realm. By the way, how do you feel about it? She pours tea as she speaks. It's a story about fate. In the beginning, Obsidian falls into a strange world and continues his cultivation. In the development, he meets a loved one and learns about the heart. In the twist, he inevitably loses his loved one. And in the conclusion, he reaches enlightenment on a truth that permeates his entire life. In other words, he realizes his fate. This is the story of Obsidian. Was it a bit interesting to you? Setting interest aside, it's a bit unpleasant to hear. I make a slightly bitter expression. Feeling a bitter taste in my mouth, I gulp down black plum tea to wash it away and say, the phrase beginning, development, twist, and conclusion feels as if the life of the existence known as Obsidian itself is like a section of a novel. It's somewhat uncomfortable. If you find the words uncomfortable, there is another expression. How about heavenly circle? Heavenly circle? She smiles faintly. The formula of the heavenly circle used when rising to the heavenly circle stage. You must know about the formula of the heavenly circle stage, right? Yes, well, I know as much as others do. In the formula of the heavenly circle, there are spring, summer, autumn, winter, the 4 seasons. Doesn't thinking of it as spring, summer, autumn, winter rather than beginning, development, twist, conclusion make it a little less unpleasant? Every being lives through the spring, summer, autumn, and winter of life, and acknowledging that is the end of the minor boundary, the heavenly circle stage. To be born, spring, to grow, summer, to mature, autumn, to lie down, winter, and in the end, to be grateful to fate and peacefully fall asleep under the heavens, acceptance at fate's end. This is the truth realized by everyone in the minor boundary. It's just that I personally prefer the term beginning, development, twist, conclusion, and that's why I use it. Her words continue. So, how do you feel about it? Heavenly King Designate Esteemed One CO. Heavenly King Designate. Her words suggest that I, too, will inevitably experience such a fate. No, I've already experienced it. I think back to the 10th cycle and smile bitterly. In fact, if I hadn't met Bu Qianghua at the end of the 10th cycle, or if I hadn't properly handled Yuan Li, I don't know what would have become of me. A fate of falling in love and inevitably parting with them. Isn't that such a cruel fate? Feeling bitter, I speak. So you're saying this is the inevitable fate that all the 7 Brilliances kings, that is, all the heavenly kings, go through. Then, the heavenly rejected who have experienced this fate are all called heavenly kings. Yuo shakes her head to my question. There are 2 conditions to be called a heavenly king. 2 conditions? Yes. The first is, as I just mentioned, to undergo the fate of spring, summer, autumn, winter, the beginning, development, twist, conclusion, and come to know their fate. The second is to reach the extreme limit, the pinnacle of true immortality. Those who meet these 2 conditions are called heavenly kings, and the heavenly rejected bearing the title of heavenly kings. In truth, Yuo glances at Co Ran briefly before speaking. Can become one of the most distinguished beings even among the true immortals. Receive the treatment of heavenly venerables. Perhaps worried that Co Ran might melt like candle wax, she whispers the information about governing immortals to me alone via voice transmission. I swallow a gulp. So, a heavenly king is a kind of special governing immortal. Tingle. At that moment, I suddenly recall the beings I saw in the Tinghua at Grand Nirvana Temple and understand the full extent of what I felt then. So that's it. The feeling of being real entities I got from those Tinghua was because the heavenly kings in the Tinghua were essentially enders who had reached the level of governing immortals. Chills. Feeling that realization, I suddenly instinctively sense a crisis. I suddenly stand up, ready for the shock, but Yuo and Co Ran just look at me strangely. Nothing particular happens. Did you not like the tea much? No, it's not that. I feel puzzled about how to explain it. You receive a shock when perceiving governing immortals. Of course, after perceiving several times, resistance develops to some extent. But if there is a completely new being perceived, the shock is felt without any resistance. However, the existence of governing immortals itself is not shocking. For example, the light, worn by Yang Sujin, and the owner of Great Mountain. Each govern light and mountains respectively. Yet, ordinary humans do not melt like candle wax simply by seeing light or climbing a mountain. Light and mountains are within the domain of the governing immortals, but humans typically do not perceive that far. Since they are unaware of their true nature, there is no significant issue in seeing light or mountains. However, what if those who know the true nature of light, or the owner of Great Mountain, see such things? Every time they see it, they get shocked. If I hadn't gone crazy once in the past and hadn't developed resistance from recognizing governing immortals too many times, I would have gone mad long ago. But being mad or developing resistance does not mean one stops being shocked by governing immortals. If someone who has never built up any resistance hears about governing immortals like the Seven Brilliances Kings and recalls them, they would naturally experience great shock and pain. But why am I all right? I ponder for a moment before asking. Perceiving true immortals causes a great shock to the mind. But recalling the mentioned Seven Brilliances Kings seems fine to me. She looks into her black plum tea for a moment and says, the reason for receiving shock when perceiving true immortals is because of wisdom. Wisdom. Yes. When a mediocre being directly faces a vastly superior being, they gain profound wisdom. From now on, ordinary chi building and core formation cultivators will be able to gain the wisdom of condensing stars when directly facing esteemed 1CO's main body. Most formulas for the next stages are obtained in that manner. I let out a low groan. Now I too have become a being that imparts some knowledge merely by perceiving my main body. Moreover, beings too weak cannot even accept that wisdom and end up exploding and dying. For example, what would happen to a slave race that lacks even the consciousness domain if they were to embody the sense of using the consciousness domain to identify planes and draw heaven and earth energy from hundreds of li? Their heads would explode and die. Probably the same would happen to the chi refining stage, not just the slave race. Beings of lower realms cannot comprehend the dimensions inhabited by beings of higher realms. For example, on paper, if one tries to explain a 3D apple to a 2D picture drawn in black and white by smearing apple juice on it, what would happen? Naturally, the picture would either melt or become a mess. In this way, knowledge about higher dimensional beings can be so powerful it could melt lower dimensional beings. You understand well. That's right. Ultimately, the reason lower dimensional beings are shocked upon seeing higher dimensional beings is wisdom. Directly facing true immortals grants wisdom, and one melts away because they cannot handle that wisdom. Moreover, while one receives a shock from facing true immortals, there is one reason for being safe even after knowing the reality of the Seven Brilliances Kings. What is that reason? Then, Yuo's next statement makes me shiver. The owner does not allow it. Pardon. Exactly as said. The existence of the Seven Brilliances Kings, their reality, and the vast wisdom their existence harbors. The names of the Seven Brilliances Kings itself are tightly bound to the being currently owning them. So even if one calls their names and knows their reality, they cannot receive the wisdom. It does not cause shock at all. Are you saying the ownership of the names of the Seven Brilliances Kings is with someone? Exactly. I quietly gaze at my teacup, thinking about it. Even if Yang Sujin has been extinguished, he was a true immortal. Yet, there are more than a few who call his real name and title, and I too have shouted Yang Sujin's name numerous times, and was fine. Calling the name of an existence like Yang Sujin and remaining unharmed. It's because someone strongly holds the ownership of Yang Sujin's name, so calling it has no effect. Then, I think of a being as if struck by lightning. Yang Sujin said, something is searching for us. In the recesses of my mind, the stories I've heard thus far merge into a single thread. The ominous land called the Head Realm. The being that is searching for us. The tale of Obsidian. The tale of the vast, cold Heavenly Lord. The last moments of Yang Sujin. The being that holds the ownership of the names of Enders. The mountain summit. 33rd Heaven. Audience chamber. I have heard from Sacred Master Beck why the Head Realm is called the ominous land. She said that the vast, cold Heavenly Lord along with other great beings reached out to the Head Realm and died, making the Head Realm ominous. However, according to the words of Sacred Master Yuo, even when the being called Obsidian was alive, the Head Realm was considered ominous. That seems to be the case. Then, regardless of the reason the Head Realm is ominous that Sacred Master Baekwon spoke of, it would seem that the very nature of the Head Realm has been ominous from the beginning. If so, I recall the sinister guess that just occurred to me and swallow my saliva. It's not a problem with the shape of the Head Realm or what surrounds it. It's because there is something considered ominous in the Head Realm. Gao, the Ji Feng. In an instant, Sacred Master Yuo accelerates her consciousness domain, lifting her consciousness to the domain of immortals and bursts out in a lion's roar. I vomit blood along with a ringing in my head. Hayuk, heek, shil. Suddenly appearing before me, Yuo places her finger on her lips. Do not speak carelessly. Don't you know it's hard to retrieve spilled water? I cover my mouth and slowly nod. I received Yuo's help. Just now, I had no thoughts of speaking out loud about that existence. However, as soon as the truth that there is something in the head realm occurred to me, my mouth moved on its own. Thank goodness. I think while covering my mouth. But at the same time, I gain a certainty. The reason the head realm is called ominous is not just because of the vast cold heavenly lord and their friends. There is someone or something ominous residing there. It's such a terrifying existence to the point that my mouth moved on its own just by inferring that such a being exists. Yuo briefly makes eye contact with me and speaks. You will probably understand more clearly why the head realm is ominous when you become a true immortal. There's no need to know now. After all, no matter how much you think about it now, you won't even be able to guess. Thank you for the advice. It's nothing. By the way, Yuo looks up at the ceiling and says, your comrades seem to be doing their best to save esteemed 1CO. It appears they are exerting all their efforts to bring back esteemed 1CO's consciousness from this world. Startled, I look upwards. Certainly. I seem to hear my comrades' voices coming from some distant place. Yuo looks down at me for a moment and then, regretfully, takes 3 steps back. It seems this is as far as we go. Originally, there was a place I intended to take esteemed 1CO, but a distinguished guest has arrived at my residence. I must attend to the guest, so I shall let you go for today. Please return to your comrades. Snap. Yuo snaps her fingers, and the surrounding scenery begins to distort. I realize that Yuo is about to expel us back outside. Whoom. At the same time, I feel attraction force from 2 places. I sense the aura held by the attraction forces and discern the locations of the 2 places. One side is a dark place, deep and yet deeper. It's the underworld. And from the other side, I feel the aura of Hong Fan and the Nether Crossing ship. That way leads to the world of the living. I stand up, intending to go where the Nether Crossing ship's aura is felt together with CO Ran. Thank you for your hospitality today. I hope there will be another day to drink tea together. I bow to her in respect. Yuo's eyes flash for a moment. I too look forward to the day we meet again. She shows a bright smile that she has not shown until now. Before being expelled from Yuo's palace, I suddenly ask her something that I'm curious about. By the way, does Sacred Master know of a way to remove the death energy that has accumulated in the soul? The death energy has become so concentrated that it liquefied and is flowing out, pulling me towards the underworld. As this is also a problem that I must solve, I ask her. Hearing my question, she responds incredulously. You're asking me, the Palace Lord of the Azure Ghost Palace, which guides the deceased to the netherworld, to teach you a heaven-defying art that allows one that must die to avoid death. Haha. Think of it as building a closer relationship, and please tell me. I remember when Yuo told me the story of Obsidian to build a closer relationship and decide to give it a try. Well, I don't expect much. If it violates the rules of the Black Ghost Palace, she probably won't. In that case, I'll give you a clue. Really giving it. However, I too am making a big decision by giving this to you. So please answer the question I asked earlier about esteemed 1CO. Who esteemed 1CO's master is, where you trained immortal arts, so on. Since you have shared a lot of information with me, I will tell Sacred Master who I studied under. Good. Then I will tell you right away. It's a formula for ridding death energy. When Taiji unites, the 3 ultimates, Sanji, will circulate. If you think carefully about this formula, it will be of great assistance in softening the death energy. Thank you. My master's name is. I open my mouth. Salt. The next moment. Pat it. In front of my eyes is Hong Fan. Master, are you okay? We barely managed to bring back Master's consciousness. Oh dear. I click my tongue. I couldn't give the name. What to do now? Pardon? What does that mean? It's nothing, Hong Fan. Thanks for pulling me back like this. It's all thanks to Sir CO Ran. I just assisted Sir CO Ran a bit in operating the Nether Crossing ship. I laugh at Hong Fan's modesty and clear my head. It seems I will be busy sorting out the thoughts in my head tonight. Inside the palace from which CO Eun-hyun had just left, the figure of her who is there begins to distort. The essence of her, who just shared a story with CO Eun-hyun, begins to be revealed and causes the entire space to fluctuate. The attraction force she possesses causes the area to crumble. Having revealed her presence, she returns to the deepest part of the palace. She sits down where her throne is located. With one hand supporting her head, she looks somewhere inside the crumbling palace. Just then, from somewhere, someone pops out. It's a figure of a person dressed in neat black clothes. He crosses the crumbling palace and stands before her, saying, "What wicked scheme are you plotting in the Saha world this time?" As she twitches her eyes, the being in front of her steps back, looking up at her with a slightly humiliated expression. "I will see how long you can remain so leisurely. I have almost reached you now, so be alert." Having finished speaking, he turns his back and leaves from in front of her. She watches the being who just left from inside the palace and lets out a small sneer. The being who just left. To the one CO Eun-hyun calls Hyen GWI. Translator notes, Obsidian Demon Heavenly King Obsidian Devil Heavenly King.